All right, my beautiful friends. I just pressed the Let's Go Live button. And that means we got to wait for the stream to fire up all across the fruited plain of the interwebs. Took a little extra longer than I was expecting on that one. And it looks like it's working. Coming across on the YouTubes. Let's make sure the locals kicks over. What's up, our friends on Rumble? We're excited to get into everything. Hopefully, once it's working. Looks like we're live on Rumble. That's good. Is YouTube working? Come on, YouTube. All right, there it goes. It just kicked over. So it's looking good. We are now ready to go. Sometimes some of the tubes take a little extra longer, but we're working. So that's tremendous news, my friends. We can go ahead and get started. So let's do it, shall we? Hello, my friends, and welcome back to yet another episode of Watching the Watchers Live, the show that spotlights misconduct involving police, prosecutors, and politicians. My name is Robert Gouveia. I am a criminal defense attorney, and today we're talking about these corrupt prosecutors. You know who they are. That's right. We got Jack Smith along with Jay Bratt and others down in Florida, joined by Fani Willis and Alvin Bragg. We're going to talk about all of them today because we got major updates on all of these cases, and we're excited to get into it with you here today. We've got the first one and the first segment. We're going to talk about these rigged photos. And remember, we've spent a lot of time on these photos. We know they're rigged. We know that they put these cover sheets on there, and these cover sheets make it look a lot worse. They say, top secret, big red borders and big yellow borders, and oh my gosh. Well, it turns out the FBI slapped those on top. And a lot of people are saying, well, that's what they do. It's part of their regular investigation. Just like they have a deadly force, use of force policy where they can go out and execute anybody, including the president, apparently. They also slap these on to create a rigged photograph. And this goes to the legal elements of the case, in my opinion. This is critical to mens rea. The mindset, the guilty mind. Did Trump even know, or did anybody in his orbit even know that these things were classified? They certainly look classified with these fake manipulated photos with all the big yellow, big bold red lines on there. Top secret, classified. But if you take those off, it looks a lot different. And so not only was this something that was used to impact public perception on this whole thing, but also it goes to the mens rea and the intent of Trump, the president, the person they've charged with multiple felonies. So we'll go into that. We'll have a major shout out to Julie Kelly, who's been doing awesome reporting on this. She's down there in Florida. She was down there again today. And did you know Julie Kelly is now making videos for her Substack subscribers? If you're a supporter over there, she's making videos and they're outstanding. She made one yesterday because she was in court in Florida. And so she made one yesterday. Super happy she's doing that because we want to hear from Julie, and she's now making videos. So go subscribe to her Substack if you haven't already. We also are going to see what the filing looks like. So Jack Smith submitted this filing where he's admitting, yeah, we put cover sheets on there and we did a bunch of other stuff. So we'll look at that filing, the one that he submitted, and then we'll see what happened today, because today was day 3 of this hearing that Cannon has been conducting in Florida, and we'll have some updates there. We'll see what CNN said, and of course, we'll see what Julie Kelly said on that as she reports from the court. Then we had another major update in the Georgia case. Big Fani Willis, and she hates when we call her that, even though we were not calling her a butt. Okay, we never were calling her a butt. That is what she implied with her own name. Okay, we never even thought about that. And wait till she learns what they say Fanny means in the UK. All right, she hasn't even got that far yet, but that's going to happen soon. I can't wait till she's in church talking about that one. Wait a minute, Fanny means what? We never said that, okay? We just called her the biggest Fanny because she happens to be the biggest Fanny in Georgia, the DA. And she confirmed this for us, by the way. She's like, don't you know who I am? Gray Goose. Under the mattresses with her hordes of cash. She is literally the biggest Fanny in Georgia. Now, she's just talking about butts here, not us. So anyways, in this case, the question is, should her butt be thrown off of the case in the Trump prosecution? Should she be disqualified for funneling $700,000 over to her hot dog lover, Nathan? And now the Trump defense has submitted their full appellate opening memo and brief. And we've been waiting for this one for some time. We know that the notice of appearance was already submitted. Fani threw a absolute Fani hissy fit, just stinking up the whole building, whining with her odor of mendacity about how this appeal was improvidently granted by the Court of Appeals. So she's trying to get them to undo the acceptance of the appeal. Now Sadow just submitted the appeal, and we'll read through it. It's a good one, and it really lays bare the stinkiness that comes from Fani, which we'll, of course, have to dig into today. Digging into more Fani here. We also have our final segment, which will be all about the gag order that Judge Merchan issued over Trump. And earlier this week, I think, or last week, we read through one of Trump's requests for lifting the gag. And then we listened to Matthew Colangelo, who literally used to work for Joe Biden, write in his gag order that he doesn't work for Joe Biden or something, and saying that Trump needed to be gagged. But then they agreed to lift certain portions of the gag so that Trump could speak. And that's good news because we have a debate on Thursday, and we're going to be live streaming that here on Rumble, YouTube, Locals, X, everywhere on Thursday. And our debate live stream is going to just be amazing because we're going to be streaming from Trump Hotel. And so our pixels will be extra Trumpian on that night. Can't wait for it. So we got that coming up. But here today, we're going to talk about this gag order because Merchan has lifted the gag on something so Trump can talk about certain things that he couldn't talk about before. He had a little bit of a statement on this today. I was waiting for him to come out and start screaming about Michael Cohen or something. He didn't, but he did post something after the order came out. We'll read through the order to see what Trump can say on the debate stage. Is he going to be tiptoeing around here, like, you know, tap dancing around a minefield, or what's going to happen? And then we got some reaction from Turley, who was on with the Fox people. So we'll go through all of that today, my friends. It's a beautiful day, and I cannot wait to get into all of this with you. Of course, before we dive into it, we got to keep our attention on some of these other problematic things happening in the world around us. You know, we've been talking about bird flu here. And did you know this? In Finland, they've already got a vaccine for this thing. Oh my gosh. What? So they're going to start in Finland. They're going to start bird flu vaccinations for humans. This is from Reuters. Okay, literally came out today. What? Why? Finland plans to offer preemptive bird flu vaccination as soon as next week to some workers with exposure to animals. Health authorities on others. The Nordic countries bought vaccines for 10,000 people, consisting of 2 injections. You're kidding. Up to 40 million doses. And so the Australian companies are all going hog wild. H5N1 having a big problem with the poultry, and it could spread to humans. And we've seen, I mean, we've shared so many stories on this. And so the idea, my friends, is we don't want to be unprepared. We don't know what they're going to be cramming down our gullets any day now, especially in the middle of an election season. So we got to be prepared. One way we can do that is with our friends at the Wellness Company. You know who they are. We've talked about them here. We want to be prepared. We can do that with our prescription contagion emergency kit. And I've got mine right here. It looks just like the one you see on your screen. And inside, you're going to have a bunch of good stuff. You're going to find things for bird flu, COVID, other respiratory illnesses, hydroxychloroquine, Z-Pak, Tamiflu, budesonide, nebulizers, all the good stuff. That way you have it on hand in case you need it. And there's a guidebook in there so you know how to use it. It's backed by people like Dr. Peter McCullough. Very easy to get one. Every American should have at least one of these kits in their homes, and ordering yours takes less than 2 minutes. The link is down in the description below. twc.health/Robert is where you can get your kit. And if you use code Robert, you're going to save 10% off, and you're going to get free shipping. How cool is that? Less than the cost of a single doctor's visit. twc.health/Robert. Don't forget to use code Robert at checkout, and these kits are only available in the USA. And let's get prepared for all the things, because we don't know what the heck's going to be coming. All right, and so, my friends, we're going to get into it. As a reminder, we've got our Watcher Meetup, which is taking place this Saturday. And so if you are joining us, make sure you get your names adjusted on Circle. If you have a problem, if you don't have your Vegas pass, if you bought a ticket and you don't have your Vegas ticket on your profile, send me a message on the Circle app. I'll take care of it. There was a little bit of an automation problem for some people who signed up a certain way, but I got that fixed. Only a handful of you, but I think I got everybody covered. So you should be, if you bought a ticket, you should be in. If you're having a problem, send me a message on the Circle app. We'll take care of it. Otherwise, we're going to see you on Saturday. It's going to be amazing. Watcherlodge.com if you want to still join us. And it is getting very full. So we're excited about that. We're going to have to order some more food, I think, which is a good thing. So come check it out. It's going to be amazing this weekend. And just as a reminder, this schedule, the schedule this week is also going to be a little bit wonktified. So if you go over to robertgovea.com, there is a calendar tab. So go here, look at that just picture. Got to get a new one. So here is the calendar. And when you go over here, you're going to see that we can go to the week agenda and the show schedule is up here. So tomorrow we're doing an early show. All right. Tomorrow's going to be early, 9 a.m. We should have some SCOTUS drops tomorrow. So we'll probably see what SCOTUS has for us and we'll hit it there. Then your boy's on the road off to Vegas. Thursday, we're going to have the live stream for the debate. So we will not have a morning thing. I'll be in a conference all day. And then Friday, we'll have an early morning stream because we got some afternoon activities. And then we have the meetup on Saturday. So all of this is available. You can add this calendar to your phone or whatever. And check that out at robertgovea.com. That is going to be the schedule. And if any of that changes, that's where it will change. Okay. Now we know. All right, my friends. And so thank you for indulging all of that. It is now time to get into business. And we're excited to do it. No, it's 9 a.m. My time. So noon Eastern tomorrow. Noon Eastern tomorrow, 9 a.m. tomorrow is the show. And it's going to be a lot of fun. All right. And we're going to see what SCOTUS drops. So we'll have some fresh SCOTUS drops right out of the oven. We'll do some hot take analysis. It'll be great. All right, so let's get right to it. The FBI is now admitting, as they already have before many times, that they rigged the photos at Mar-a-Lago. We've seen this before, talked about it many times, but they do this slow drip process where every time we get a new filing, there's a new little hint. Oh, well, we did this, and oh, we did this, and oh, we took that out and put this in here. And we just recently learned that all the documents in the boxes were shifted around and that maybe cover sheets don't match what they said the thing was covering up. So they put a cover sheet on. It was supposed to be one document, and then the cover sheet actually doesn't match the thing that it's supposed to be matching because maybe it's shifted all over the place. So the evidence is totally tampered with. It is all disordered. You can't now reassemble chronologically when documents went into the box to say maybe Trump didn't touch the box before these documents were added to it. So there's a chronology problem. It's just a big mess. So what we see here is that Stephen Douglas has posted a couple of these photos. He's on X, and so we'll go through his post here in a second, giving us some clear examples as to why this is a problem. But we're going to read through what Jack Smith admitted in his filings. But I want to shout out Julie Kelly for calling our attention to this with some explosive reporting. She's down there in Florida. She says, holy moly, special counsel Jack Smith just admitted that the FBI added cover sheets to the alleged classified documents found at Mar-a-Lago, and then they took photos for evidence. Now, you're going to see a bunch of other people, ex-FBI and ex-whatever. They're well, what else? What do you think they're supposed to do? Take pictures of photos of classified documents and just share those photos around? No, we're not saying that at all. No, but we're saying that they should make it clear and obvious that if they're taking photos that are covered up with cover sheets, that we know that before they disseminate their propaganda pictures all over the place and tell us that's how the evidence was found, because it goes to the mens rea, the mental state of Donald Trump. They're charging him with a crime after all. Don't they need to prove what Trump knew in his mind, what was going on in his brain? Two things happen. You have a guilty act, which was the physical taking of the documents. Then you have the guilty mindset. He was taking these in violation of the law, which he knew, and he was trying to co-opt these for, I guess, some nefarious purpose, which we still don't know. They were rumoring that they were, I guess, selling secrets to the Saudis or something, but it's all been made up. Okay, they haven't given us any evidence of that. So here's what she says. Now, this confirms her report, which has been outstanding, from last month that the FBI doctored evidence to produce their little stunt photos that they then spread all over the media, which they did. Now, we're going to zoom back in on this document, but let me just hit these highlights provided by Julie. She says, as part of the processing of the seized documents that were marked classified, the evidence recovery team photographed the documents with the appropriate cover sheets added by the FBI personnel that were then next to the box in which they were located. So the photographs are attached as exhibits. Now, she says, watch this shift. Watch. The FBI agents allegedly found loose classified cover sheets in a blue leather-bound box in Trump's office. Loose classified cover sheets in a blue leather. So like the FBI brought their own cover sheets, and then they found Trump had a pile of other cover sheets. And then suddenly some of those cover sheets were actually attached to the classified documents. So here's the compare and contrast. Says entry photos were taken of the anteroom, Trump's office, both bathrooms. The filter team agents then discovered in the closet a blue covered leather bound box full of various papers, including newspaper clippings, magazines, note cards, various sizes, presidential correspondence, empty folders, and loose cover sheets for classified information. As well as other documents that were in fact marked classified. Now, FBI 13, this other office, agent or a team, conducted the privilege review of this box with some brief assistance from FBI 5. 13 was careful to return all items to the box after reviewing them, but did not maintain the order of the items. Okay? Thanks for admitting that. So again, you have chronology, which is important, the sequencing of the documents. Because what happens if you have, let's say this is Trump's box and it's seated somewhere. So you have so now you have to say who packed the box and who knew what was in the box and who ordered the things to be packed into the box and how the box get compiled and composited. And what if there was in the box a big sequence of documents that covered, let's say, Trump's last 3 to 4 years, and then the classified documents were just shoved in the end? Right. So you have boxes at home. You have boxes all over the place. So you have a box over here filled with, I happen to have cords all over the place, right? So if you have cords for all of your electronics, well, you're going to put the cords at the bottom are going to be older cords. And then you put your other cords on top of that, right? Same thing. I'll throw that one in the bin, throw that one in the bin, throw that one in the bin. Now, if you wanted to, you could probably go back and say, oh, that cord came from that camera, and this cord came from that camera, and this cord came from there, and that one put here, and that's a power cord, and that's a computer cable, and that one's from there. So all stacked up, and you could assemble a chronology of where the cords came from, right? And tie those back to the devices. But then, and you could sequence that. Okay, Rob got this back in 2000 whatever, and this one here, and reconstitute that. So if I had a bunch of other cords that were on top at the very top, and those were illegal cords, we could all say, whoa, where'd those come from? Somebody just shoved those illegal cords right on top. I don't know what kind of devices those came from, probably Putin or something. And now that gives us a hint. Okay, when did that come from? Because I can now disambiguate the addition of the cords. Same thing with files. When did the newspaper clippings go in? When were those added in sequentially? So in the last 2 days, did somebody just shove a bunch of classified documents in there? And if they did Trump have anything to do with that? Did he know anything about that at all? Well, we don't know. But if you now then blend those all together, so the new documents are at the bottom of the old documents and it's all mashed together, nobody can tell. That's the point. Now you don't have a defense about the chronology or the sequencing of the items. They have manipulated the evidence. The FBI wrecked that evidence. They were careful to return all the items to the box, but they did not maintain the items. Thanks, guys. FBI found no potentially privileged materials in the box. And after FBI 13 placed all of the contents of the blue box back in the box, another photographer took photos of the blue box with the cover off. FBI 13 alerted the case team that she had found documents marked classified, and after she completed his or her privilege review, two case team agents, whatever. Now, on June 20th, the government produced in classified discovery the initial placeholder sheets. That's footnote 7, which presumably was even above that. I don't see that footnote in this paragraph, but we'll look at the full document. Now, they also tell us that some of the says they reviewed the box and found numerous documents with classification markings, some of which had classification cover sheets already attached, as well as loose classification cover sheets. The case team agents seized the documents marked classified, as well as any other cover sheets already attached, and then segregated them. As they extracted the seized documents, they inserted placeholder sheets where they found them, right? And this is going to be another problem. So they take the placeholder sheet, they say, okay, this is a menu from Applebee's. We're going to take that out. We're going to put in this cover sheet. This is we took out a menu from Applebee's. We're going to put that back in here. And that's what that was. And now you say, okay, great. So now the cover sheet, that's how it should be. Now the question is, do those match? Do the scans match the cover sheet? We'll see. So, all right, that's what Julie Kelly is reporting on. She says, as I reported last month, the FBI also brought the colored classified cover sheets to the raid under the guise of using them to substitute classified documents found within the Trump boxes. Instead, FBI agents attached the scary-looking sheets to various files, and they took photos. In the DOJ's opposition to Trump's special master lawsuit, Jay Brad attached the infamous photo, and then the photo got spread all over the place. And so that's from Julie Kelly. Now, what we see here from Stephen Douglas is the importance of why this photo matters. Now, they dumped it out on the floor. They took this photograph. It's almost too good to be true. It's like And we remember this was spread everywhere. Remember, they dumped this on Washington Post. Look at these documents. And they look real heinous. They look, oh my gosh, look at all these red and yellow letters. Top secret, top secret, top secret, top secret. Now, you could imagine if this was just a cover sheet, you could say evidence cover sheet could be the big thing, right? You could have that in big, bold letters. Cover sheet, caution, evidence cover sheet, sensitive redacted documents, FBI cover sheet, right? FBI search team cover sheet. And you could cover them all up with white, or you could cover them all up with black. You could do whatever you wanted. But that would show you that you're covering it up. What they've done here is made us believe, in my opinion, when I first saw this, I thought, okay, that kind of looks bad. Because one of the defenses is that Trump didn't know that he was in possession of these because maybe somebody else put them in there. Somebody else packed the boxes. He had no intent, right? They were searching for documents. They said obstruction, remember. They're like, Trump was obstructing. He searched all over the place. He told us they found all the documents and he didn't give us the documents back. So Trump obstructed. When you can say, if you say, well, wait a minute, you're searching through your boxes and you just skip over top secret. You skip over something that says top secret SCI, and then you, Trump lawyer, like what kind of an idiot are you? You flip through these and you say, I guess that's nothing big. Oh, so you sign a document saying we've done our search, our due diligence, and we haven't found anything. Well, you didn't see anything that looked like this ever because it didn't happen. Like none of this existed. The FBI made it that way. And then they said Trump's team obstructed. So what if these are not even generally classified documents, right? Or these are documents that look like spreadsheets or regular old clippings. Nobody even knew. It's just like throwaway stuff. They sensitized them up to make the obstruction charge look egregious. Clearly they obstructed because they just ignored these red cover sheets and these yellow cover sheets. Well, they didn't. They didn't ignore them. They didn't exist. It was all fake. So what they could have done, right, would be something that looked like this. Here's a better idea, right? Because that's probably more what the sheets look like. They probably look like just dull manila with some text on it. Doesn't look anything like a very serious, scary thing. But the FBI then papered over it because that's what they do. And then they leaked it to the media to make it look bad. So they dumped the photos out. They opened the pages up. They doctored them with their fake cover sheets. So the media and the jurors would be, any juror who saw these photos or even had a hint of these photos or got the media coverage from these photos has clearly been prejudiced and biased. So hopefully they admit the truth when they get questioned during voir dire, if that ultimately happens. But it is ridiculous. They could have put FBI cover sheet, redacted cover sheet, big bold letters, could be in black, could be in FBI blue. But no, they wanted it to look bad. They designed it to look bad because it is rigged. And so we're going to now talk about Jack Smith and his corrupt filing. But before we jump into that, I want to tell you about a other tool that I use to investigate corrupt prosecutors, including Merrick Garland. Now, we have live stream privilege, so what we've done there is shared a sponsor link to our friends Ground News. If you haven't checked them out, ground.news/RGE, you can check that out. But we have a promo that we'll insert into that segment on that one. But because we're here live streaming together, we have privilege. But now, let's get into Jack Smith's filing. So we saw how his team and how the FBI rigged the prosecution and rigged the photos. Now let's go into what Jack submitted, because he is there in day 3 of the court proceeding in Florida. Julie Kelly and CNN were in the courtroom reporting on how this went down. The open questions are, is Jack Smith lawfully appointed? Does Jack Smith have lawful money? And is the existence of this case allowed to continue, or should it be dismissed as a consequence of those violations? So let's talk about what Jack submitted. Here is his filing. You see, here he wrote this In response to Trump's motion to dismiss, and it's a 33-pager, Julie Kelly gave us some of the highlights, but let's just dig into this a little bit further. And they say, Trump here does not offer any evidence where the spoliation of evidence is going to matter. In the 4 decades since the Supreme Court, the 11th Circuit has never found that the destruction of evidence matters at all. They say Trump, look, personally, okay, so this is the point. If Trump personally chose to keep these documents, they have to prove that. What was the decision that he made in order to do that? He personally made the decision to keep some of the nation's most highly guarded secrets in cardboard boxes, and with a collection of other keepsakes, Christmas ornaments, magazines, clothing, photographs. Okay, all of it is non-material, just like the other documents. Now, at the end of the presidency, he took his cluttered collection of keepsakes to Mar-a-Lago. And you know what's interesting too? Just check this out. So what? Look at this. Defendant Trump. Now, then they just go on into Trump. See how that happened? You don't normally see that unless you've got some whiny, kind of bitchy prosecutors. I wonder who this is writing this. Because he just goes right into Trump, right? He's like very upset with Trump. So he's very agitated. Who could it be? Is it Jay? They didn't sign it. There, it's Jay. Yeah, so it's Jay. Yeah, that's basically what we figured. And Jay Bratt writes a lot of this stuff. But normally you call the defendant a defendant. And you don't turn it over to Trump, right? This is pejorative when it's used by Bratt. It's pejorative. He just, Trump. You almost never see that by professional prosecutors. They just say defendant. Defendant personally chose, but this has gone way beyond that. We have little Oompa Loompas running around in Florida trying to make this personal. They are making it personal. You can see it in the filings. And just don't take my word for it. You see every other motion we file here, prosecutors regularly say defendant. So at the end of his presidency, he took his cluttered collection of keepsakes. And I'd like to see what Jay Bratt's house looks like. Cluttered. I'd like to see what his house looks like. Let's be real. Have you seen him? Let's be real. He can't even use shelves. His personal residence and social club, where the boxes traveled from one readily accessible location to another, a public ballroom, an office space, a bathroom, a basement storage room, right? So the point is, like, those cover sheets were not on there, so nobody even knew that they were classified or a problem. After they landed in stacks in the storage room, several boxes fell and splayed their contents on the floor. Now, against this backdrop of the haphazard manner in which Trump chose to maintain his boxes, he now claims that the precise order of the items within the boxes and where they left them was critical to his defense. As I've already articulated, it is absolutely critical. When were the things added? What was the chronology? Jay, dummy, you just admitted that he personally ordered this stuff to happen. So did he personally fill those boxes with classified documents? And with those cover sheets on there, he said, oh, wow, these are dangerous. I can't wait to take them. And what's more, that the FBI agents executing the search warrant should have known that. But he says, but neither the law nor the facts provide any basis. And to the contrary, the FBI agents who conducted the search, they did so professionally and thoroughly and carefully under challenging circumstances where they had authority to kill him, given the cluttered state of the boxes and the high volume of highly classified documents that Trump had retained, which they charged him for what, 34? Substantial volume, 34 documents, which are allegedly classified. We still have no idea what they are. Importantly, Jay says at every stage, the agents have maintained the integrity, no, you have not, of each container in which the evidence was found. That is box-to-box integrity, not within it. As a result, Trump has all of the evidence that he needs to make the arguments. For example, he suggests for the first time that he may wish to argue the classified documents were buried in the boxes and hard to see. Yeah, chronology. Or that the placement near dated items shows that they were placed long ago, may have been forgotten. Exactly, time. But because the overall contents of the box have not changed, Trump can argue both of those things and everything he needs to do so. Nothing has been lost, much less destroyed, and there's been no bad faith. Yes, there has, Jay. We don't take your word for that. So you've already manipulated the evidence. So he doesn't have everything he needs to do that. He can't talk about the sequencing of the documents, literally. He can say the sequence is broken. And I guess if you admit that, that's a good defense, that somebody else added the documents before Trump had any personal knowledge of what was going in and out of those documents, boxes, sounds like a good defense to me. So no, actually no. Now these defenses that Trump now puts forth can be added to the list of other evolving, unsupported explanations for his possession of classified documents. Over the many months, Trump has claimed that he deliberately declassified documents, which I don't think he has to even do, personally. I think if you look at the opinions clause under the presidential powers, it's not a well-litigated part of the Constitution, but it says that the executive under the presidency has the power to the opinions of his executives in writing. It's in the Constitution. So what does he need to declassify? They're his. Did it come from executive agencies, executive branch agencies? Yeah, it did. Great. They're his. So the documents that the FBI planted them, which I think is also very plausible, given the fact that they've created other cases against Trump. They created a Steele dossier and made up evidence for that, and that he intentionally selected and sent the documents as his personal records, again, which he's ripe to do under the Presidential Records Act and, in my opinion, the opinion power of the presidency under the opinions clause. Now, these explanations have nothing to do with the precise order of the items within the box, but there are other explanations that you didn't delineate. So, okay. And this confirmed by the fact that in the year that has passed since the indictment, Trump's counsel have not once asked to review the boxes themselves. Okay. They don't have to do their investigation according to your standards. Trump did not assert any arguments stemming from the precise order of the documents until filing this motion. You didn't tell him, jerks, that they were out of order in your last filing. You just released that. I can't wait for this reply. Oh, gosh. I can't believe they're bringing it up. You just told us like a week ago that the order was shifted, jerk. It was more than a week ago. It was like 2 months ago, but it was recent, like very recent. And that its importance should have been manifest to the FBI. Yet you don't manipulate the evidence. The court should see Trump's newly invented explanations for what they are. Unfounded accusations, blah, blah, blah. So here's what he says. Now, here's some background. According to several personnel who work closely with Trump at the White House, Trump routinely used cardboard boxes, right? So these are going to be their witnesses. Okay, Trump used cardboard boxes and he put stuff in there. So that's how Trump personally knew, right? Think about what they present at trial. What did you see? Oh, well, I work for Trump. Regular boxes, clippings, magazines. So he would just put stuff in there. He did this regularly? Yeah. And then what did he do with the boxes? Okay. So Trump clearly knew about what was in the boxes, right? Trump's detailed familiarity with the contents prompted some of the staff to call them the, quote, beautiful mind boxes, referring to the film about the mathematician John Nash. It's like Trump just, I don't know, he just clips all this stuff. It's his beautiful mind. He just throws them in the boxes. At the end of the presidency, these boxes that he accumulated and stored in his bedroom, so he knew everything that was in there, and elsewhere in the White House were shipped to Mar-a-Lago, as were numerous other boxes that were packed in connection, okay? Who packed them? Did Trump? As were numerous other boxes that were packed in connection with the move out of the White House. Now, according to staff who were involved in the packing of those boxes for the move, Trump was personally involved in the packing process. Great. So, when were the classified documents added to the boxes? And did Trump look at every single document that went into every box? They're going to have to show that. And I have a hard time believing that's the case, right? I have a hard time believing that. It was Trump literally packed every box. You don't tell me, you're telling me that Trump's defense can't identify some gaps in who packed the boxes? Clearly they will. So that's the question. What was in the boxes? When did the classified documents go in? Were they in at the start of the box or after? After the election, for example. The election happens. Trump says, oh, I guess I'm leaving. We're going to start packing up to leave the White House. Did the classified documents go in at that moment? And Trump did that? Trump personally authorized it? Like they're going to have witnesses come out and say, Trump said, yep, put that document in. Really? So you're helping Trump put charge 32 in and charge 31 in and charge 30, all of them in? Trump did every item. They're going to bring witnesses out. Yeah, right. I don't believe that. The contents of the boxes shifted. They also admit this. So they are admitting the boxes were moving around. Trump personally looked at every document that went in there. Give me a break. This is like, come on. Now, because the boxes were a mix of items and it contained many, and they're also admitting that other people packed, okay, staff packed the boxes, and the boxes did not have the documents did not have those cover sheets on them at all. I mean, it sounds like some of them might have, or there were loose classified cover sheets, but we still have ambiguity on that. And what we saw in the photo sounds like those were FBI cover sheets. So that again goes to the mens rea. Did Trump know those were even classified at all? Did the staff? Did anybody? And if Trump didn't have knowledge of that, why not? Those are defenses that we want to explore, but we can't now that the documents are out of order. So they say that they contain many small loose materials, items within them necessarily shifted around anytime they moved. Not necessarily. That's from you. You don't have to necessarily move anything. Now, because 2021 and 2021, between those dates, Nada and Trump Employee 2 brought several boxes to Trump's residence for him to review. Okay, in the midst of that process, Nada found at least 4 boxes in the storage room that had fallen with their contents on the floor. Nada texted Trump, "I opened the door, found this," attached a photo. Trump replied, or Trump employee replied, oh no, I'm sorry, POTUS had my phone. One of those boxes spilled contained a classified record the FBI recovered in the storage room. Okay, that's in the indictment. Did it have a cover sheet on it? Don't know. Also, here's another one. 8 months after that, another photo, A35. So they're walking us through the boxes. Before that, 15 boxes. Trump turned back over to the archives because they were searching for them. Then Nada moved 64 boxes to the. So you're telling, okay, so Trump was in there at the White House packing 64 boxes. On May 30th, the following text exchange took place between Nada and a Trump family member. Trump family member. "Good afternoon, Walt. Happy Memorial Day." What a nice person. "I saw you put boxes to POTUS's room. Just FYI, I will tell him as well. Not sure how many he wants to take on Friday on the plane. We will not have room for them. Plane will be full with luggage. Thank you." So tell Trump don't take his boxes. "Good afternoon, ma'am." Smiley face. "Thank you so much. I think he wanted to pick from them. I don't imagine him wanting to take the boxes. He told me to put them in the room and he was going to talk to you about them." So again, Trump is going through some other boxes. What boxes? I don't know. On June 2nd, they moved 30 more boxes into the residence and I reviewed more boxes. On June 2nd, Trump Attorney 1 reviewed the boxes in the storage room from Trump's residence into the storage room. So then reviewed some other boxes. Were they the same boxes that Trump, in other words, did Trump even look at classified documents or was this a different box? Himself searching documents with classification marking. So then on June 2nd, some other boxes are back in the storage room. And this is kind of a non sequitur here. So in other words, boxes left Trump's room, back to the storage room. Trump Attorney 1 goes in. Did he review the boxes that came from Trump's room or just other boxes in the storage room? The plan to seize the boxes, they say on August 5th, the government obtained a search warrant to search Mar-a-Lago and seize documents, which they did. As described in the search warrant affidavit that authorized deadly force, the FBI planned to use as part of the search protocol a filter team, whose purpose was to search the premises and identify any attorney-client privilege material. On August 7th, the day before the search, the DOJ attorney sent a memo to the FBI explaining the filter team. Members of the filter team received a briefing and a copy of the memo. According to the instructions, if the filter team came across any privileged materials, the entire box holding those materials would be separated and segregated, then sent over to filter agents in Washington. Thus, the warrant and the protocol contemplated 2 scenarios in which an entire box would be seized. But what if a box had both privileged material and classified? Then they gave us a memo and an instruction there. But we never found that, so we didn't have to worry about that. So then, on August 8th, 8:59, FBI team entered the Mar-a-Lago premises. This is from Jay Bratt, the Florida Oompa Loompa, writing. At approximately 9:14 a.m., DOJ attorney Bratt, he's writing about himself, attempted unsuccessfully, I'm surprised he didn't write heroically or bravely or another adjective. He attempted to unsuccessfully reach Trump attorneys 1 by phone. So he calls it 9:14. He's like, oh man, they didn't answer. We can't wait to raid. At approximately 9:55, at approximately 9:36 a.m., Bratt then spoke with Trump attorney 1. And at 9:55 a.m., the CCTV servers were turned off to prevent recording. Government now admits they turned off the Mar-a-Lago cameras at the request of the FBI out of concern for agent safety. Why would agents feel unsafe at Mar-a-Lago? That's curious because it should have just been a standard raid where they would never have to engage in use of force. Because if they had to engage in the use of force, well, their use of force policy says that they could execute and use their use of force. They could only use deadly force if they needed to. So it was in there. They're allowed to do it. But they said that they would never, ever possibly use it in a raid like this because of some reason. They said that's just an insane thing to think about, which is weird because they were armed, you know, and in plain clothes. And they just notified them about the raid the morning of the raid. Jay Bratt, the same guy who's organizing this whole thing, is conducting the raid. So why'd they have to turn the cameras off? Now, at 10:20, the cameras came back on. Weird. How come they did that? At 10:20 a.m., they resumed recording at the direction of Trump's attorneys, which feels a little bit off keister to me, doesn't that? So is suddenly agent safety is now back in play? Trump's attorneys are like, we're not going to shoot you, I guess, or something. So you don't need to shoot us or something. So, okay, okay, we can turn the cameras back on. So why did we have 25 minutes of missing time? From 9:55 to 10:20 a.m., the FBI, when they were raiding the president's residence, turned off the cameras for 25 minutes. For officer agent safety. Yeah. And then once the attorneys came in and said, no, you're not doing that, they turned them back on. Apparently the agents were safe, I guess. They talked to their mommy. So why'd they do that? Now, but during the time the recording function was off, the cameras continued to display a live feed. And some Trump organizations, some of them who had access to the network, monitored it live, which we don't give a crap about. That's great. So they were watching, so they could see what we were doing. That's great. So all these people are watching a bunch of feds swarming Mar-a-Lago. You think these couple of Trump organization personnel are going to be able to monitor them planting documents somewhere? I don't give a crap if there were a dozen people monitoring it. Why'd they turn off the recording? And why is that justification to protect agents, to turn off the cameras? Shouldn't they have the cameras on to protect them against people like me saying that they planted documents in those 25 minutes? Wouldn't it be nice to have total recordings to say there's no evidence of this at all? You didn't plant documents. Your own cameras show you that. So it seems like agent safety might have been better served by having the recordings, but they turned them off because that's when they were planting documents, probably. So then they turned them back on. And they said, it doesn't matter that we turn them off because other people, probably 2 security people sitting around just like, oh yeah, I guess the feds are here, I guess. What's going on? At approximately 10:33 a.m., the FBI initiated the search. Yeah, after the cameras were back on. Give me a freaking break. So they turned the cameras off and nobody's on the property at the request of the FBI. So FBI's not even on the property yet. And something's happening, right? So they call, I guess. Spoke to the attorney. Bratt spoke with the attorney at 9:36. 20 minutes go by. FBI got the cameras off. I'd like some more details on that. Who asked that they get turned off? The CCTV footage and who turned them off? So who made the phone call? And who turned it off? And where did that conversation happen? Were the FBI agents already on the property? Were they sitting there with the people in the recording booth, with the security booth, telling them, cut your feed, as other FBI agents were on the premises? And then they officially initiated the search. Okay, now it's time to begin the search, everybody. Cameras are on. Now it's time to start searching. Okay, we're going to start searching. Let's start over here in Melania's closet. Now, as discussed below, the boxes were delivered to Washington. That's from a prior section. Now, the government has produced in discovery the evidence that the reason for the FBI's request that the recording be turned off was a concern for agent safety. Why? I thought this was going to be the most safe and secure raid. There was no possibility of violence or deadly force at all. So what are the agents going to be attacked by? Trump personnel were aware of it. Doesn't matter. Doesn't make it legitimate because they were aware of it. Did they approve of it? The CCTV cameras continue to broadcast live while recording was suspended. Again, is it recorded? Then we can't see it. And in fact, the CCTV was recording again at Trump Organization's attorney's request well before the search began. Yeah, right. Before your official search began. We didn't start actually looking for things until the cameras were back on. So what was happening in those 25 minutes? And where were the FBI agents at that time? So accordingly, Trump's suggestion, says Brat, and he's whining right here, okay? They got busted, and he knows this. The cameras don't mean anything. Okay, this is all called cope. He's trying to cope here and explain away their planting of documents. That the FBI's efforts to turn off the CCTV during the search is relevant to the application of the good faith doctrine. They say it's disingenuous, and it's at worst deliberately misleading. No, you're being misleading. You turn the cameras off for a fake reason about agent safety for 25 minutes and then turn them back on and then suddenly began searching. And you want us to just paper over all that? No, thanks. So yeah, it becomes more and more clear what has happened here. 25 minutes went by that is not accounted for. It's a big property. A lot of things can happen there in those 25 minutes. People can shove stuff in boxes. So 4 filter team agents were involved in reviewing the boxes in the storage room. FBI special agents 5, 13, 17, and 36. 41 entered the storage room. At that point, photographer took pictures. After the photos were taken, the evidence response team labeled a bunch of stuff. Then they went in, looked at other boxes. Once agents saw the state in which Trump kept his boxes, it's his fault. It became apparent, here they say, that maintaining the exact order of all the documents was nigh impossible. We're government prosecutors. We can't figure this out. It's like a box of stuff in there. Given the variety of the documents, sizes, newspapers, photographs, magazines, loose cards, notes, envelopes, and the presence of other non-documentary items like clothing, framed pictures, other keepsakes. Now, despite that, the agents did the best they could under the circumstances, and they're heroic FBI agents. Heroic document recovery people. It's like, give me a break, guys. Are you serious? Are you that smooth brain? I know prosecutors are basically brain dead. I know it. But like, you guys can't figure out how to maintain the sequence of a box? Or is it that you're just too lazy and you just don't care? And you know that you're government prosecutors and FBI agents with basically limitless power to do whatever the hell you want without any recourse. It's clearly the latter. If we gave you $10,000 a box, FBI agent, you think you could preserve the contents of them? It's not that complicated, okay? And you can video record the whole thing, right? Bring the box, video record the whole thing. This is what I'm taking out with your body camera. This is what's coming out. Now I'm putting that back in. The next document's coming out. Now I'm putting that back in. Now in here is this one. Cameras, putting this back in. You set up one studio, record the whole thing. Here's the sequence. You got a problem with the sequence, Trump? Here is us reviewing it. We put it right back in. And then you basically seal everything up, right? Foam it up, saran wrap the whole thing in, and just seal it up like a Subway sandwich, morons. So it's not that complicated, man. And they do this when they really want to be clear about what the evidence shows. They do this, okay? You watch the forensic shows, okay? They find the hairs and sequence. They can organize a couple dozen boxes. They manipulated it intentionally. Don't give me this crap. The best we could under the circumstances. You raided his residence. They're your circumstances. You made the circumstances and got permission for those. So in keeping with the protocol, when any of the filter team agents came across a potentially privileged document in a box, the entire box was set aside. At no point did they come across commingled boxes. It was not the filter team's responsibilities to locate classified documents, and so they did what they were supposed to do. Now, they set aside 6 boxes, and then they cleared a bunch of boxes, and they shipped those out. So then they went and searched Trump's residence and the various bathrooms, and they returned all the boxes. But again, here they admitted again. They were careful to return all items to the box after reviewing them, but they did not maintain the order of the items. Again, manipulated that box as well. They transferred stuff over to Washington. The filter agents completed their privilege review. they discovered additional documents. Neither of those documents are charged. So some classified documents were not charged. So they completed their more thorough privilege review. Agents discovered 2 additional documents with classification markings inside, but neither of those were charged. So again, some of these things were charged, some of them were not. Now, several weeks later, the FBI used an outside vendor to scan the contents of the boxes. FBI agents were present for the scanning process. The boxes were already manipulated. Okay, so they've already been disturbed by the FBI. Scanning personnel, hey, just scan all the documents in the order they appear in the box. Prior to initiating the scanning process, the FBI replaced the initial placeholder sheets. So there's an initial placeholder sheet with classification cover sheets at the appropriate level. So now, okay, we have a placeholder. So they pull out the Applebee's menu. They put in the another Applebee's placeholder. So then they take out the Applebee's placeholder and they label that. They say this is a restaurant menu. So now it's a classified Applebee's. So that's red cover. Dangerous. So we now cover that, say this is very dangerous, and we label it at the appropriate level. And there's a handwritten notation of the FBI's alphabetical index code, which are called the new placeholder sheet. So they take the original document out, they put a placeholder in, then they take that document out, they put another document in. So you see we're now basically 2 steps removed from the original document. Now, what did the FBI do this for? Well, they did this to avoid providing any classified information to uncleared parties. But when making these substitutions, the FBI was able, with one exception that's not even relevant here, to ascertain the classified document to which the original placeholder would correspond, and they simply swapped on the new placeholder sheet in for the initial placeholder sheet in the same spot. So they didn't mess that up, is what they say. Now, here there is one problem, one exception. The initial placeholder sheet that were put in box A15, unlike most of the others, but not all, included only the classification level and the number of pages. Because of the large number of documents with classification markings in box A15, which were found in a binder, it was not possible for the FBI to determine from the initial placeholder sheets which removed documents correspond to which classified documents. So in this instance, therefore, the FBI left the initial handwritten placeholder sheets within the binder to denote the places within the binder where the documents with classification markings, let's see, my PDF looks like it just froze up. Come on, PDF. This PDF is frozen! The feds rigged our PDF. All right, let's see what's going on here. All right, we're back. Unbelievable. Right in the middle of our excellent analysis, FBI's like, not right now. Doop. FBI manipulated our PDF document. Sheesh. Unbelievable. All right, so we're back. When making these too much red pen, I think. I overdid the red. So when making the substitutions, they, again, made a mistake. So we have documents that don't match up. And so now they're going to take us in all through the applicable law. We'll fast forward through all of that, let them make their analysis, and see what Jay Bratt is whining about. He says, all right, we took a lot of steps here. We labeled each and every box, and we were able to identify a bunch of stuff, okay? We preserved the box. We didn't do anything with bad faith. Everything we did here was intended to preserve the evidence, and we did our very best. The fact that we just manipulated evidence, we discombobulated the chronology of multiple documents, and that we showed up and we found it was impossible to preserve them, so we just didn't, willfully destroying the defense an opportunity to defend themselves. And in short, they say the search was conducted perfectly, professionally, efficiently, and respectfully. And so Trump proffers no evidence of bad faith, and so leave us alone. Signed by Jay Bratt, the Florida Oompa Loompa, writing on behalf of Jack Smith, the special counsel. And again, Trump, 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 Trump. Jay Bratt, very upset about what happened. And so let's see what went down in court We know that Julie Kelly was there. Jay Bratt was in court. Don't know if Jack Smith was there. We'll see. But Julie Kelly rounds out the reporting. She was there in Florida, explaining that Judge Cannon was in a mood today. She pushed back hard at the arguments by Trump's attorney, Emile Beauvais, that the FBI affidavit seeking the warrant was misleading and that the search was too broad. She said, what are you talking about? They're allowed to search whatever they want. They're the DOJ. This is the government, okay? They are just with total power. So Emile Beauvais like, what? She appeared to indicate at the end of the hearing that she would not grant the motion to suppress the Mar-a-Lago evidence, saying she believed that the affidavit was particular enough. That was signed by Judge Reinhart. She did, however, confront the prosecutor, David Harbach, which is Jack Smith's prosecutor, about FBI agents searching the bedrooms of Melania and Barron. She says, was there probable cause to believe that there were classified documents in the bedroom of a child, you disgusting freaks? She didn't say that part, I did. That's what she was thinking, though. Why did you have to go into Barron's bedroom, you FBI pervert? Why did you need to go into Melania's closet and take pictures of her underwear, freak shows? Harbach says, well, Your Honor, DOJ had evidence that boxes were moved all over Mar-a-Lago and all over the residence. Did you have any evidence, whether it was direct or indirect, that there were boxes being moved to the child's room, David? No, we don't. But, Your Honor, it would have been irresponsible for agents not to search their rooms. We're dealing with criminal documents, and so Melania and Barron need to be investigated too. And there was nothing egregious about it. We were just taking pictures. I wonder if David would like FBI agents to take pictures of his wife and his kids' rooms. Probably not. Harbach, again, had a bit of a temper tantrum at the end of the hearing. He asked to give a brief rebuttal to Emile Beauvais' closing comments. Cannon said, yeah, you have 30 seconds, moron, go. One day after admitting the special counsel has a permanent, indefinite source of tax dollars to fund both prosecutions, Harbach said, Your Honor, and also, these are unfair proceedings against us. Why do you have to allow Trump's team to hijack the hearing with repeated attempts to import false allegations into this case about the raid? Our agents are here doing a great job. Huh. Cannon said, hey, shut up. Basically saying, no one's hijacking anything, moron. The hearing's over. We're done. My guess, says Julie, says there's going to be a delay of at least a few weeks until the next hearing. Holiday next week, July 4th. We're going to be celebrating that. Then Trump is set to be sentenced on the 11th in New York, then the GOP convention. Cannon's very mindful of everyone's schedule, making sure the defense can participate. Looks like she'll deny this motion, but two biggies on the horizon. Also, collusion between NARA, DOJ, and the White House, and the motion to dismiss, which we just read through with Jack Smith. And so we're going to keep our attention on this one. Of course, as always, Florida is a big one. And we're waiting for the Supreme Court to talk about immunity, which may hit this as well. But as it stands, we're going to see what Trump says in response, his reply to Jack Smith's response here today. And more evidence continues to come out that they manipulated the evidence. Not only did they put illegal cover sheets, or let's say manipulative cover sheets, on their documents before they published those to the media to manipulate what they wanted the public to think about what Trump was doing. Did he intentionally take these classified documents, or were these just thrown at the bottom of boxes somewhere? They wanted us to all believe that he was obstructing intentionally and acting with maliciousness. None of that was true. Now they're being exposed. We're going to continue to cover it. Thank you for subscribing as we do. We also got some great links down in the description below. If you're looking for some extra content talking about the election and political affairs, we do those on our members only streams. We'd love to have you join us on YouTube or on Locals because we got some great stuff coming up. And next, in our next segment, we're jumping over to talk about Fani Willis and the appeal in Georgia. So we'll be looking forward to seeing you over there and back here on the next one. But we're live, my friends. So let's just keep this train on the tracks. We got Fani Willis and another major appeal and a big update. Fani Willis blasted. Trump's defense and Steve Sadow filing their appeal in Georgia. Remember, Fani is trying to hang on to this case for dear life. Nathan Wade, her lover, out in the pasture now, enjoying the media, getting lambasted by The Daily Show. And so now Trump is working to get Fani off the case as well, so she can go join him and they can cruise to their little heart's content. Sadow, Trump's defense attorney, posted this as an announcement before the appeal was dropped. He says, here's my statement. As lead counsel for President Trump in Big Fani's case. Says, all right, good morning, America. President Trump has filed his opening brief in the Georgia Court of Appeals. Says the brief persuasively argues that the trial court should have dismissed this case and disqualified Big Fani for her forensic misconduct and the appearance of impropriety between her and former special assistant Nathan's hot dog, who was her lover and taxpayer-funded financial benefactor and co-conspirator. We are optimistic that the court will favorably decide the appeal in our favor. And so let's jump right into it. This is what it looks like, submitted by Trump's defense in the Court of Appeals, state of Georgia. We know the case is Donald Trump versus the state of Georgia. This is on appeal, which is why these got flipped around. An interlocutory appeal, which is in the middle of a criminal case, because this is really consequential. If Fani is disqualified, the whole case might go away, and you can't have the case continue on while that question lingers in the air. So this is the opening brief for the appellant, Donald Trump, and it's just opening because what Sadow is reserving is an opportunity to come back and amend this thing if need be. So you can see we've got some nice table of contents here, some table of authorities, and a bunch of case law cited here for us. We're going to fast forward through all of that and just get some clarity on how this works very quickly. The court granted 9 appellants a joint motion for appeal. And so each appellant must docket their own. Okay, so all 9 of them are going to file their own briefs. And so Trump intends to adopt arguments that are made by them. Okay, so I know David Schaefer and others have submitted theirs. And so the idea is that all 9 of them are going to submit their briefs. We're going to bundle them all together, and we're going to have a massive justification to appeal Big Fani Willis. Because this rule requires adoption of theirs, we might amend ours later. At the time of this filing, we know that there are other issues coming. Okay, so Michael Roman and Ashley Merchant, they're going to submit error on conflict of interest that occurred, error on David Schaefer on remedies and forensic misconduct and the court's interpretation of the appearance of impropriety, errors coming from Robert Cheeley about actual conflict of interest, and Fani about how she should have disqualified herself. Trump is going to adopt all those. Also, Meadows, Latham, Rudy, Jeffrey Clark, and Harrison Floyd all appealing as well. So they tell us this court has jurisdiction. And now we get into the good stuff. Trump's defense team appealing Big Fani Willis, the biggest Fani in Georgia, Grey Goose, and Cruises, says, all right, Judge of the Court of Appeals, the panel, this all-important interlocutory appeal in the middle of the criminal case, Your Honors, presents a novel issue concerning the legal standard for, quote, forensic misconduct that Fani Willis committed. Now, below, Judge McAfee found that Fani Willis, he said that she gave a, quote, legally improper speech. McAfee said that. And that there was a significant appearance of impropriety that existed. He even admitted it. But he didn't order the remedies that are required if you find that to be true. And so what happened is McAfee really failed on this thing. He didn't apply the misconduct standard. If he found that these things happened in fact, the remedy needs to match. So here's the question. Court of Appeals of Georgia. Should a prosecutor be disqualified for intentionally and repeatedly violating ethical and professional canons so as to prejudice the defendants for their personal and political gain, going on cruises, drinking Grey Goose, storing cash, funneling 700 grand to your hot dog lover? Should that be a problem? Yes! And is disqualification necessary when a prosecutor testifies falsely and conceals their misconduct and creates a stinky odor of mendacity that results in a significant appearance of impropriety? Should they go? Yes, undoubtedly so. And if this prosecutor deflects attention from her own misconduct by claiming on national TV that Trump and other defendants in this case are dishonest racists for bringing the truthful accusations to light, Could anyone anywhere have any confidence in the impartiality of this prosecutor? No, absolutely not. Great question, Steve. And great answers. Now, since launching this investigation, Fani Willis has engaged in a pattern of consistently flouting her ethical obligations. She's already been publicly chastised. She's already been twice disqualified by 2 other judges, but McAfee didn't have the stones to do it. Now, because neither fully removed her, Willis has only become emboldened. To this day, Willis continues to ignore those clear warnings. She didn't care at all. She's out there. She's like having even more Grey Goose. She's going on more cruises, making it crystal clear that her improper conduct was neither inadvertent nor isolated. This is her lifestyle, man. She's big Fani Willis. Don't you even dare question her. Willis has put her personal, financial, political, and romantic interests not only before her own professional integrity, if there was any at all, but more importantly, the due process rights of the defendants. Willis has taken full advantage of her position to poison the well. Willis believes she's immune from disqualification no matter how badly she acts. And in her view, she explicitly states that a particular defendant is guilty. She said that clearly. Now, this is not and cannot be the law here in Georgia Court of Appeals. This is madness. The trial court's order expressly found, McAfee, that Willis's actions, including hiring Nathan Wade as her lover, and accepting gifts and trips that she paid for through financial taxpayer compensation, says created a financial cloud of impropriety that cast a pall over the proceedings. The order from McAfee determined that Willis's out-of-court speech when she went on the churches and said, "Why, God?" And we said, well, it's because you had sex with him. That's why. Yeah, it's pretty easy for us to understand. I don't know. She couldn't. Hopefully, God speaks to her. Now, the order determined that her speech was legally improper, that her conduct at the disqualification hearing was unprofessional, and that her sworn testimony was both dubious and likely false. She lied to McAfee's face, and so did Nathan Wade. And he sat there and took it. The trial court was required to unequivocally disqualify Willis. Now, this remedy, this stupid thing where he was saying that only Wade needed to go, didn't address this at all. It didn't cure this. It didn't mitigate this. It didn't alleviate the odor of mendacity. It still stinks. Now, the Supreme Court has long recognized that our public's faith in the integrity of the criminal justice system is critical to its functioning. And this is a great cite here from Berger versus United States, 1935. And I believe this is absolutely true, which is why it's such a travesty that our justice system is evaporating before our very eyes. If you don't have belief and faith in the credibility of the system, which we shouldn't anymore, the evidence tells us not to, then, well, that's kind of the end of things, right? That's a real difficult thing to have a country when you don't have a functioning justice system. And so it's been operational for 234 years, been pretty good, and not without its faults, no doubt about it, but many would say the best in the world. Not anymore. Courts have an obligation to ensure that legal proceedings even appear fair to all who observe them. Not anymore. Our system of law, and by the way, we have like 40% of the country who is thrilled about this. They are waking up every day wondering what's happening in the Trump prosecutions, not from a defense perspective, not here defending liberty or due process or the presumption of innocence or equal protection of the law as we do. But no, they're like, I think people in a Roman Colosseum who are just bloodthirsty, they just want to see someone, their opponents executed in front of them. So when they recreate a justice system that is in alignment with that concept and that desire, we all suffer. Our system of law has always endured to prevent even the probability of unfairness. Not anymore. Now, nowhere are these interests more important or on display than in a high-profile case involving Trump. It's captured the attention of our nation. We need our public confidence in our prosecutors. But make no mistake, Willis, Big Fani, by persistently untethering herself from the legal, ethical, and professional constraints of her very powerful position, she has decimated the integrity of these proceedings. Sadly, the circumstances that require her disqualification are entirely self-inflicted wounds that were within the power and her power to avoid. She disqualified herself. Absent the removal of Willis in her office, the odor will continue to loom and stink. To give effect to the rules, this court must conclusively disqualify her and must dismiss this indictment. So, Court of Appeals, you have an obligation here. The facts are bad, but the consequence to the profession of the law are worse. Here's some background. Writing, on January 8th, co-defendant Michael Roman via Ashley Merchant, shout out, moved to disqualify Fani based on personal financial stake that she acquired through a secret relationship with her lead prosecutor. The Roman motion alleged that Willis hired Wade, paid him $650,000. He made a bunch of money from that. Now, evidence revealed that from October 2022 to April 2023, and we covered all this live, Wade incurred over $17,000 in credit card charges. They took a bunch of vacations: Miami, Aruba, the Bahamas, Napa Valley. And there was, I think, over 6 months. It was like one trip a month. Willis admitted that she was also the recipient of day trips. They also went to Tennessee, Alabama, South Carolina, North Carolina, Georgia, lunches and dinners. Man, it was nice. These expenses were neither shared proportionally. They weren't even tracked because Big Fani paid in cash, baby. Willis could only produce a single receipt for plane tickets totaling $1,300 in an effort to offset the $17,000 that she got paid by Wade. We split things, 50-50. Now, Wade testified that expenses were paid on his business cards because for safety reasons, she would limit her transactions. I spent, so her name wasn't out there because she's the biggest Fani in all of Georgia. Everyone knows who she is. Says, we can't even walk through an airport or sit at a restaurant because of all the attention, which is strange because they walked through a bunch of airports and sat in a ton of restaurants and went on multiple cruises. And okay, yeah, like you're the county attorney of Georgia, but outside of Georgia, does anyone know who you are? I mean, now we know a lot more about you, but at the time when they were philandering, nobody knew. A lot less of a national figure at the time. Now, no evidence suggested that her bank accounts or credit cards were ever monitored, however. Now, long before, this is Trump's appeal, long before the Roman motion was ever filed, before this was all busted, she had already engaged in a pattern of conduct designed to prejudice the defendants for her personal gain. Beginning 2 days after launching the investigation and continuing unabated to this day, Willis has made widely publicized extrajudicial statements to the media about this case. She's got heightened ethical obligations to not do this. And prosecutors do. They have all of the charging power of the government, and they have the high public position of being the chief prosecutor. So they've got the power of the media, the power of the office, and the power of the charge. And then she also runs her mouth. Now, Willis was previously judicially disqualified by another judge. 2 years ago, Judge McBurney said that Willis had created an actual and untenable conflict of interest by publicly naming the Lieutenant Governor Jones a target of her investigation, and then she went to a fundraiser and headlined the fundraiser for his opponent thereafter. So she goes and campaigns for the opponent and prosecutes the other guy. It's sick. Judge McBurney then took the unprecedented and unlawful step of carving out the target of the investigation rather than the conflicted counsel. Okay, so even that judge was like, well, she is the biggest Fani in Georgia. Even I can't deal with her. 4 days after Roman moved to disqualify Fani then, the trial court told the parties we were going to have an evidentiary hearing. Now, in spite of, or perhaps because of, the pending hearing, Willis now tried to prejudice the defense and to distract away from this and to conceal the scope of her conduct. And so 2 days later, after the whole thing blew open, while facing intense media scrutiny, Willis went to the MLK Jr. holiday weekend and dumped all over his name, gave a keynote speech at the Big Bethel Church, which is a historical black church in Atlanta, knowing this speech would be covered by everybody. With a notebook of prepared remarks, she went into the podium and she committed her premeditated pattern of prejudicial public statements about the defense and their counsel. Now, this time, however, in her zeal, she upped the ante in 4 ways. First, She maligned the defense and their counsel. She called them dishonest. She said that God told her to pray for their souls, deflecting from her relationship with her special counsel. Second, she brought race into this. A black man, she said. A black man. Why are they targeting me and a black man? I have a white woman and a white man. Well, were you sleeping with the white woman? I don't think so. Were you sleeping with the white man? I don't think so. Which is racist, by the way. Third, Willis strongly intimated that the defendants were guilty and would be convicted, saying, my superstar team has a 95% conviction rate. All we do is win, 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 no matter what. And fourth, Willis appealed to religion by saying that God was on our side. Why, God? She says, why does Fulton County Commissioner Bridget Thorne and so many others question my decision in special counsel? Lord, your flawed, hard-headed, and imperfect child, I'm a little confused, is what she said. I appointed 3 special counsel, as is my right to do, paid them all the same hourly rate. They only attack one. What is going on with these PDFs? I must have to close some other stuff. She says, what is going on? It says, I hired one white woman, a good personal friend and a great lawyer, a superstar, I tell you. I hired one white man, brilliant, my friend, a great lawyer. And I hired one black man, another superstar, a great friend, a great lawyer. Oh, Lord, they're going to be mad when I call them out on this nonsense, right? I'm not going to read the whole thing in Fani voice, but oh my gosh, it was insane. A one black man who you were sleeping with, Fani, who you were sleeping with. So she goes through, they copy and paste the whole thing. 2 weeks later, a New York Times bestseller was released about Willis and the ongoing case, saying she's a hard-charging prosecutor. Knowing this book would be published before trial, according to the authors, Willis sat down for multiple interviews, gave them significant time and access. Now, in those interviews, she also thrusted into the public the forefront allegations of racism against her and her office by telling the authors that comments against her were always racist, right? Race, race, race. Now, having publicly castigated the defendants, calling them racist and saying that I'm fighting on behalf of God, Willis began her efforts to conceal from the court the nature of her misconduct. Willis opposed Roman's motion with an affidavit, and Nathan Wade falsely averred that their romantic relationship did not begin until 2022. Lied to the court. On January 17th, Willis also filed for a protective order in Wade's divorce proceeding, saying that accusing Wade's spouse, Jocelyn, an innocent party to this, of conspiring to harass Willis. So she basically threatened Nathan Wade's ex. Willis asked the court for time to investigate this. Now, coming from an elected DA, this could only be viewed as a threat of criminal prosecution to Mrs. Wade in violation of the rules, which prohibits that from happening. So Fani is also threatening exes of Wade. Now, overwhelming evidence proved this case was false, right? Their relationship did not begin in 2022. Robin Yurdy, close friend and former employee, testified that Willis's romantic relationship with Wade started in 2019. How'd that happen? Well, we witnessed that. We saw them acting as a couple, and there was no doubt it began before Nathan was hired. Yurdy was also corroborated by text messages sent to Ashley Merchant by Terrence Bradley, a longtime friend and a partner of Nathan Wade, which he confirmed that the romantic relationship absolutely started in 2019 when Willis was a judge in South Fulton. They met at the judicial conference, and they really liked how their robes looked on each other. That evidence was also further corroborated by defense analysis of Wade's cell phone records. Those records established that before Willis hired Wade, his phone was in the general location of Willis's apartment on 35 occasions, including at least 2 overnight visits, before she hired him. So what were they working on? What kind of legal cases were they staffing together at her residence overnight? Working on their emotions. Yeah. Now, 11 months of cell phone records prove that during the period that Willis and Wade claimed not to be romantically involved, no, we're just friends, There were 2,000 calls and 9,700 text messages. Good Lord. Which is an average of 6.2 calls and 29.3 texts per day. Oh my gosh. There are people who do this? How do you even get anything done? You don't. What are you doing? Like, you have to be on the phone all day to talk to somebody that much. I would be annoyed. I couldn't get anything done. Somebody called me 6 times. I'd be like, all right, this relationship is over. You're done. I'm quitting. I'm not your special counsel anymore. You're a lunatic. Fani, stop calling me every hour, okay? I've got some work to do, baby. Leave me alone. Sheesh. Like, Nathan, come on, man. Put your foot down on that. You have to, like, enough. Like, okay, good morning, good night, couple texts throughout. Hey, baby, how's the day going? Checking in. What'd you have for lunch? How are you? Like, I don't know. Not 29. Ugh. All right. So unable to provide, like, they're supposed to be working and getting Trump prosecuted. How could they possibly be doing that? They're not even working together. Officially, 11 months when they were not even romantically involved, when they claimed we're not. There were 2,000 calls. Yeah, right. So unable to provide receipts, credit cards, or bank statements demonstrated that Willis actually repaid 17 grand. Willis and Wade testified to a wholly unsupported explanation. They couldn't produce any records, no withdrawals. She said I paid him back in cash. No deposits, no discussion of repayments. Willis testified she kept large amounts of cash in her home. She says, I built it up over the years because when I go to Publix, I get cash back, you know. Would you like cash back with that? She says, yeah, I need to add some more to my mattress. It's feeling a little bit loose on the left side. By taking cash from her campaign account, which might also violate campaign finance laws, but we don't know about that. No one cares. So both were barred attorneys. They both have law licenses. They apparently passed a bar exam somehow and also ethical tests. And Willis is an elected constitutional officer from Georgia. It's amazing. Had reporting requirements that, and she's probably going to win again. They love it. Like, the only thing that Fulton County wants is more Fani Willis, baby, to track and disclose any expenditure on her behalf that exceeded $100 in a year. Nevertheless, in 2022, Willis falsely certified that she had no gifts or benefits over $100. That is falsification of a business record. It's right there. She as a public official, falsified a business record. Trump got hit with 34 felonies and didn't even falsify anything. Paid his lawyer for legal services. She says, signed a document under oath, certified falsely. And here's the testimony. You don't have a single solitary deposit slip to corroborate or support any of your allegations that you were repaid by Miss Willis, do you? No, sir. And when you got cash to pay him back on these trips, did you go to the ATM? No, lady, I didn't. Willis also received thousands of dollars from Wade, who was literally a prohibited source under Georgia law, because she hired him. Can't do that. So we know how this went down. On April 14th, grand jury came back, indicted Trump. He denies the charges. On January 8th, Roman moved to dismiss the case, saying Willis needs to go. The trial court notified parties. We had a hearing. Willis went on MLK Day holiday, screamed at everybody, called them all on the opposite end of God, racist Satanists, I guess. And following the church speech, Trump then adopted Roman's motion. Now, augmenting the grounds for disqualification, Trump also took the position that the speech that she gave was forensic misconduct. Not only should she be disqualified for her affair and her conflict of interest there, but she dug it deeper. The trial court heard hearings on the motions. Many people testified. We covered it all here. On March 15th, though, the trial court, McAfee, entered an order granting in part and denying in part. The order held that Trump and the defendants failed to prove an actual conflict of interest, but had proven an appearance of impropriety. Now, Fani says that none of this really matters. She says, well, what the judge found that the facts are what the facts are. We're asking about the legal standard. To remedy this appearance, there must be, the court proposed a forced election. Fani needs to make a decision. Willis goes or Wade goes. And so Wade abandoned ship, took his 700 grand, dropped his kids off in Europe and X'd his ex-wife. I'm out here. Peace, fam. I'm out. So the trial court criticized Willis's behavior. They called it unprofessional. Yeah. They called it a tremendous lapse in judgment. Yeah. They said there's an odor of mendacity. That's true. It's stinky. The trial court labeled the cash repayments as unusual, stated the lack of supporting documentation was, quote, understandably concerning, and held that there existed a, quote, financial cloud of impropriety. Nicely done. But then the judge whined out like a weenie and stopping just short of calling their cash repayment testimony an outright fabrication, which it was. The trial court half-heartedly said that it was, quote, not so incredible as to be inherently unbelievable. Okay. So the order found a need to dissipate the potential untruthfulness of the proceedings. It noted, so it's like, you just split them up. Okay, you two, you're broken up now. Oh, Mom, I really love her. Sorry, Robbie, you're not going over there again. She's bad for you. So it noted, so the judge, you two get over there. So it noted that the reasonable questions, this is what the judge is doing, questions about whether the DA in her hand selected a DA hot dog guy, testified untruthfully about the timing of their relationship. And we have to cure this. You do that by getting rid of Fani. Now, despite acknowledging that the courts have an independent interest in ensuring that these are conducted according to ethical standards, the trial court punted, which was pathetic, Willis's numerous legal and ethical violations to other forums like the General Assembly, the Georgia State Ethics Commission, the State Bar of Georgia, the Fulton County Board of Commissioners, and the voters of Fulton County. Such a cop and so spineless, man. Judge, she lied to you in your face, in your courtroom. This isn't misconduct that happened at a club somewhere out on the streets like that other judge. This happened in your courtroom. Offer feedback. How about you offer some feedback on the fact that you got lied to on your face, man? On forensic misconduct, the order expressly found that Willis's speech was legally improper and it was not inadvertent, so it was intentional. It then issued Willis a stark warning. It said the time may well arrive for a gag to prohibit you from talking. Now, despite its findings, which all but acknowledged forensic misconduct, the trial court still weenied out. Refused to disqualify based on a restricted application of the interpretation. They said, well, the judge said, I don't know what Williams means, this case, Williams versus State. And so because I don't know what it means, unmoored from precedent, I don't know what to do. And so I feel bound to hold in confinement of Williams. And so we move for appeal, and the brief now follows. So they're going to give us some more details, and let's fast forward through a lot of this stuff. It looks like it might be a little technical, but we'll hit the highlights. They say, here are the enumerations of error. There are lots of problems here. The trial court abused its discretion. Both of them should have gone. You can't just keep one. The trial court also erred by not dismissing this, because we've already articulated why. They say, when reviewing a lower court standard, we have to follow certain rules, which we'll do now. And here, let's explain why the court interpreted this case wrong. So in Fani Willis's attempt to get the Court of Appeals to reverse their acceptance of this appeal, she talked a lot about the facts. But now, as you can see, we're going to be talking about the law. The trial court erroneously excluded Willis's knowing and intentional prosecutorial misconduct, should not have kept that out. And they truncated its factual analysis as well. So some facts coming in. They're going to give us some background on the Williams case and what it means. But let's fast forward through the case law and see how it applies. Lot of explanation of how this works in Georgia. Now, the broad standard that necessarily reached Willis's knowing and intentional deliberate, it's a broad standard coming out of this case. So forensic misconduct means, after all of that analysis, what is it? Any activity by the prosecutor which tends to divert the jury from making its determination of guilt or innocence by weighing legally admitted evidence in the manner prescribed by the law. Any activity. See how broad that is? And it's not any activity which tends to divert, okay, tends to divert, very low standard. So it's broad. So if Willis knowingly did it and intentionally did it and deliberately did it, well, that seems like it hits that standard. So that you'd call that then any activity. She had notes. She came out in front of a church. She referenced the case. She was talking about the motion. Courts have an independent interest in making sure they're following the ethical standards. Courts. You don't just get to say, well, Fani's not my kid, so I'll let her parents deal with it. It's your house. Judge, the trial court noted that Georgia courts have not hesitated to step in to disqualify, but omitted Willis. Thus, any activity clearly matters here. Without a doubt, Willis's nationally televised intentional injection of racism is clearly going to heighten the public and the prospective jury and their concerns and their condemnation of the accused. They haven't come up with any exceptions to this. None of this speech was necessary to her job. She directed her comments at the motion, and she concealed from the public her improper relationship. She didn't tell us about it. She had bad faith there. The state below made no argument that there was any legitimate reason for this speech, because there wasn't. There's no doubt that this speech was an activity. The standard says it's broad, very broad, any activity. She also talked about 95% conviction rates. She was casting racial aspersions. She was calling the defendants dishonest. She said that God was on her side. She was begging the congregation to pray for their souls. My team is amazing, and we're doing God's work here. She inverted the burden of proof, said that they have to prove their innocence, not we have to prove their guilt. And now finally, Judge McAfee pathetically put the cart before the horse, saying the order acknowledged that there was prejudice, but then didn't do anything about it. It was not, she needs disqualification. There's no slap on the wrist here. There's no don't do it again warnings. There's a finding of forensic misconduct, and she needs to go. And so when there are improper statements, the law says it's appropriate to move them off. Willis's personal motive was material and palpable here. There's a pattern of egregious comments here. At the other end of the spectrum, okay, Willis prepared a speech, and her speech came out. It was intentional. It shows a lack of judgment, lack of impartiality, a lack of fairness, which is what this rule is about. And her additional misconduct also shows she has a calculated plan here. There are similar attacks by her. She gave isolated summary analysis. And there's multiple things. One, there's a speech. She made prior statements saying that these people are guilty. She published "Find Me the Votes." And there was a submission of a false affidavit and false testimony. Each one of these things is an activity that justifies her removal. No reason she should be injecting racism here. She's done this repeatedly. In her church speech, she said it. Black man, white woman, one white man. They're all the same, but not really, because she's only sleeping with the black guy, which is very racist of her to do that. She recited the conviction rate. She's appealing to religious authority, calling out her superstar team, 95% conviction rate. Now, the context of this matters. She knew that there was going to be heightened public attention on this. She did not take these premeditated steps because she was free from temptation or bias. No, this was her personal and political need. She was obscuring the misconduct by slandering the defendants. And this is similar. It's even worse than these other cases. Willis, in the other case, by contrast, in this case, did not react to an onslaught of press at the courthouse steps. No, okay? She wasn't getting asked questions like being bombarded. She wrote a speech. Only after the court scheduled the hearing did she come out and make her speech. But she wasn't responding to media questions either. She pre-scheduled the appearance. She did it on MLK Day. She made it as public as possible. And it shows this was a calculated plan. This was not something that was off the cuff. The trial court didn't even look into this, how it was a plan. Just 2 days after announcing the launch of her investigation, she sat down with Rachel Maddow. By the time this came down to an indictment, 6 months before the indictment, Willis had given 40 interviews. Willis has frequently spoken publicly. She talks about fake electors, talks about a bunch of stuff that's not legitimate for law enforcement officials to talk about, but she's trying to prejudice the defense. Even after being twice reprimanded by McAfee and McBurney, and being disqualified on another case, and being warned, she still is now out there speaking. On March 25th, she said, "I'm not embarrassed by anything I've done," she says. "I guess my greatest crime is that I had a relationship with a man. But that's not something I find embarrassing in any way. I'm allowed to do that." She's happy as can be, man. She just beat the MAGA team. So speaking with CNN, she called herself the face of the feminist movement, remember? She said the train is coming for Trump. Willis said the following Friday, poking at the court's order, she said, "It's hard out there always having to prove yourself 2 or 3 times. You know, recently they tell me they don't like me to talk about race. Well, I'm going to talk about it anyways. I don't care." Willis, sitting directly in front of and agreeing with Rev Motley, talked about the Florida man with resources of hell. And the Florida man who is saturated with evil, right? Talking about Trump, obviously. So lots of statements from her that she just continues to speak out about. Maybe if Judge McAfee would have done something about this, she would have not been able to say those things, but he didn't do that. Unlike the singular comments in these other cases, Willis has an extensive pattern. It's all premeditated, and she's continuing to do it even after they warned her about a gag. Now, there's also this Find Me the Votes book. It's a best-selling book called Find Me the Votes. The trial court's order failed to consider whether the contents of the book also show her plan. The order mentioned Find Me the Votes in only one sentence. But by viewing that book in isolation, and you also ignored the invocation of God. You also ignored the racial aspersions. All of these are extrajudicial comments. They're thrusting Willis. Willis is thrust into the public forefront. She sure was, by saying everybody's always racist. The timing of this publication, viewed together with their efforts to conceal this, show there is a conspiracy here. And also, in a desperate bid to stave off disqualification, Willis undertook to conceal her misconduct. First, Willis knowingly filed a false, fraudulent, lying affidavit, a false business record that should be a crime, with her response to the disqualification motions. And second, Willis and Wade gave false testimony and lied to the court. On February 2nd, Fani's office opposed the disqualification motion. They attached an affidavit from Nathan Wade, where he averred that he met Willis in 2019, but it was only in 2022 that they developed a friendship and a professional association. We know that's not true. Overwhelming evidence showed that Wade's affidavit was known to be false when it was filed by both him and Willis. For example, Robin Yurdy testified the relationship began 2019, no doubt about it. Beyond Willis telling Yurdy about it, Yurdy observed it. Yurdy gained these details through a long-standing close relationship with Willis. Indeed, the two were so close that in April 2021, Willis took over the lease for Yurdy's condo, the condo where she met with Wade, their little bang house. Now, Roman's counsel only learned about the Hateville condo and Yurdy through Terrence Bradley. Yurdy's testimony was also corroborated by Bradley's text, facts which McAfee failed to consider. He didn't want to say that they lied to his face. He just didn't want to admit it, which is just as cowardly as can be. Like, you have to deal with stuff. Come on. When it determined his testimony left too brittle a foundation upon which to draw conclusions. Too brittle. Dude, come on. There were texts. Bradley was on the stand squirming in his seat. Bradley proved significant information and assistance for 5 months and then edited and even confirmed the motion. He was editing Ashley's filings. Anything else that isn't accurate? He says, no, looks good. After being called to testify, Bradley suddenly forgot everything. He claimed his knowledge was gained exclusively through confidential communications with Wade. When Bradley was forced to testify, suddenly he feigned ignorance. I don't know. And he was impeached with his own texts. Bradley's text confirmed that the relationship had absolutely, his words, started when Willis was a judge in South Fulton, and he was married. Willis and Wade confirmed that Willis moved into the Hateville condo and conceded Wade occasionally visited, even though the relationship was not yet romantic. They were working at each other, yeah. When asked, Wade dubiously claimed, many reasons why I might be over there, but stated he was there, not more than 10 times. Maybe 10 times. When pressed, Wade could only muster two unconvincing reasons. He said, I don't know. Maybe I was over there visiting Yurdi, or maybe I was over there to review a document I received. I don't know. Wade failed to explain why he would do either when they were just merely friends. I don't know. Why do you need to do that? We got this from Yurdi and Bradley's texts sharing this that were corroborated by the analysis of Wade's cell phone records, which showed an average of 6.2 calls and 29.3 texts a day during the period where they said we're not dating, April 2021 to November. Just working on stuff. These records disproved their testimony and that Wade would not have been at her apartment more than 10 times and that he never stayed overnight. He said never did. Yeah, you did. Wade's phone was in the general location of her condo on at least 35 occasions, including at least 2 overnight visits. Now, unable to argue that this data was incorrect, the state analysis claimed, they said, this did nothing more than demonstrate that Wade's phone was located somewhere near the densely populated, multiple-mile radius where a lot of other stuff is located. There's residences over there. There's bars. There's nightclubs. Now, Wade's admission that he would visit the condo during this period corroborated Yurdi's testimony. Okay, so now Yurdi gets a +1. That she witnessed romantic interaction. The trial court failed to consider this. Even Nathan is confirming Yurdi, which means Yurdi is highly credible. It corroborates what she said. You can't say that Yurdi was lacking context. No, Nathan had agreed. He confirmed, corroborated it. So, leaving out the fact that most businesses are closed overnight, the state failed to explain why Wade would have called the elected DA for 40 minutes while on the way to the area, and then why Wade texted Willis at 4:20 a.m. once he got home. Made it home, baby. See you at the office later. It's the got home safe text. We all know if he was in the area for some reason unrelated to visiting Willis. Like, what's all that for? There was nothing to explain. Wade was visiting Willis. Now, the evidence was further corroborated by the testimony of Cobb County ADA Yeager, who was likewise told by Bradley about the beginning date of the relationship. And that was the offer of proof that was submitted. Yeager, another Cobb County DA, remember we read this, witnessed Willis, another prosecutor, watched Fani instruct Bradley, don't speak to anyone about my relationship with Wade. Fani is witness tampering. Now, the trial court refused to consider Yeager's testimony. Another prosecutor, but the mounting evidence of evasive tactics and impeached testimony supported a calculated plan that required disqualification. And that was so insane. Okay, another prosecutor in Georgia says, I watched Fani try to basically threaten a witness and tamper with the witness who's going to be the subject of a court inquiry. Incredible. Judge says, I don't want to hear it. Don't want to hear about it. DA Willis, her false testimony and her evasive tactics, we continue. Trump's defense, Steve Sadow appealing Fani's disqualification. Prosecutors have a heightened duty of candor. You owe the court, the tribunal, a high duty of care. And she dropped well below that. She testified untruthfully that she started dating Wade April 2022. That was false. Willis and Wade intentionally concealed the true nature of their relationship, and they made a false statement to the court. Robin Yurdi confirms that. Bradley's text message confirms that. Bradley himself confirms that. Wade testimony that he did not reveal his relationship with Willis, and a bunch of other testimony supports that as well. But the ethical violations did not stop there when they lied to you. Willis's inveracity was further illuminated by 3 distinct actions. 1, efforts that she undertook to prevent and tamper with key witnesses like Bradley and Wade. She requested a protective order in the divorce proceeding that also threatened Wade's ex-wife. She also falsely certified with false business records that she had no gifts or benefits from prohibited sources. Nathan Wade was one of them. Now, the trial court was faced with understandably concerning circumstances, giving all of this, cash repayments, lack of documents, and so on. But as a result, it found, quote, reasonable questions about whether Fani and Wade testified truthfully. And the judge said that there was an odor of mendacity that lingered. Now, despite these damning findings and the significant ethical violations uncovered during the hearing, the order declined to disqualify Willis and her team. The trial court avoided only the only appropriate remedy, by truncating the disqualification analysis, by limiting itself to Williams. They glossed over everything, and this was reversible error. He did it intentionally because he wanted to get reelected. He didn't want to be the bad guy. He's going to make the Court of Appeals do it. Now, once the trial court found that there was a significant appearance of impropriety, there's only one thing you can do: disqualify each affected prosecutor and the entire office. Here, both Willis and Wade were both affected prosecutors. They both committed specific conduct. The trial court's forced election to get rid of Wade was insane. This appearance was caused by both of their conduct. Willis decided to continue supervising and paying Wade. She made bad decisions. Willis's regular and loose exchange of money. Willis's regular and loose exchange of money with Wade without any verifiable measure of reconciliation. Actions taken by both parties in favor of Wade's divorce. Willis's legally and improper speech made in his defense, and Willis lying. Okay, all of that was her misconduct. Why does she get to stay around if she's clearly committing ethical misconduct? Now, this concept makes sense. A lot of case law here. But the trial court did a bunch of analysis, and they drawed a bunch of flawed analogies. There was no screening here, nor could there be. Okay, Willis and Wade ran the prosecution team. This entire investigation was under their control. It's not like those other cases. In some, the trial court's forced election remedy misapplied the relevant law, and therefore it abused its discretion. It found in its own order that there were two people who were problems here. Both Wade and Willis were affected by their significant appearance of impropriety. And if that's the finding, they both have to go. Withdrawal of Wade failed to cure the appearance of impropriety that the court and Fani created through her own misconduct. And so since they made a mistake, unlawful government misconduct occurred, and now this case has been encumbered. Willis's speech was legally improper. It was not inadvertent. Wade led the grand jury. And so Trump incorporates all of this into his request. Prejudice is happening here. The court and other state courts have already found fundamental unfairness where a conflicted private prosecutor is present for and participates in the grand jury proceedings. So Wade was conflicted. He led the grand jury proceedings. So the entire case is tainted. Wade's conflict existed from the inception of this case. Wade was therefore not an authorized grand jury participant, violates due process. This should have been dismissed. Wade's frequent presence and participation and control of the grand jury proceedings is undisputed. So if Wade's gone now, and he brought the grand jury proceeding, shouldn't the grand jury proceeding also be gone? Since being hired, Wade played an integral role both before the special purpose as well as the regular grand jury. He was literally the lead prosecutor. Wade not only called witnesses, he presented testimony, but he was also responsible for educating and instructing and assisting the grand jury as it considered the indictment. Throughout his tenure, Wade operated under the conflict of interest that has now disqualified him. And because the appearance of impropriety found by the trial court existed, the grand jury process was not fair. Indictments that are obtained by conflicted prosecutors have to go. And this is particularly true here because of the staggering misconduct of both Willis and Wade. And so reversal is therefore required. In conclusion, wrapping this up, they tell us DA Willis and Wade engaged in deliberate, calculated plans and patterns of misconduct. They had heightened ethical duties and they failed. Knowing full well about the unethical nature of her church speech, Willis is a career prosecutor, the biggest in Georgia, chose to rectify the reputational harm that she caused herself by creating a flagrant lie. This blatant lie that the defense was racist caused the utmost damage before a group of people, all potential jurors, who she knew would be most affected. And after choosing to take the stand to explain her misconduct, Willis testified falsely in violation of her heightened duty of candor, and undeniable intentionality rings through her persistent disregard. The totality of her actions establishes why she must be removed, lest she continue to act with total disdain, as she's doing now, for the administration of justice and her prosecutorial obligations. As Judge McBurney noted when he disqualified Willis, the public can't be burdened by this. And so we need to deal with this now. That was true 2 years ago. It's true now. The circumstances of this case demand Willis's disqualification. To decide otherwise would be taken by Willis as an imprimatur of her playing the race card wherever she so chooses. And so, for the foregoing reasons, President Trump respectfully requests that this court vacate the order denying the disqualification of Fani, send this case back down to Fulton County, Scott McAfee, and make him disqualify Fani Willis and conduct further proceedings as necessary. Signed by Steve Sadow, with help from Jennifer Little and Matthew Winchester, attorneys for Donald Trump, sent in on appeal. And so we're excited to see where this one goes. Of course, what is this here? What is this little comic here? They write, a snapshot of Willis's social media, did I skip over that? Says, crystallizes her pattern of forensic misconduct. Days after Senator Graham issuing Senator Graham a subpoena, Willis posted a political cartoon that because of her impending investigation, President Trump was tampering with witnesses and attempting to cover up criminal misconduct. So she posted that on Twitter, I guess. Fishing expedition. This is, I guess, Graham. I know you'll do the right thing for the swamp, Lindsay. I guess that is, I don't know what's going on there. All right. So, all right, that, my friends, is the most recent appeal from Trump's defense, Steve Sadow, going up to the Georgia Court of Appeals, trying to disqualify Fani Willis. She's still on the case for whatever reason, because, well, Scott McAfee's kind of a weenie and didn't do the right thing that a judge with any respectability would do when they get lied to in the face. But we got Fani Willis, who is now going to be responding to this. We've got a motion from her that's already out there pending with the court, which she's asking the Court of Appeals to reverse themselves, to deny the interlocutory appeal. In other words, don't hear this case. So Trump filed his appellate memo. Fani will respond. I'm sure Trump will respond to the removal attempt by Fani Willis. And so the filings are going to get a little spicier as this unfolds. We'll see what the Court of Appeals does in Georgia. Hopefully they continue to hear these arguments because they're the right ones. Fani's misconduct has been egregious. The fact that nobody's doing anything in Georgia is also insane. The bar must love it. Ethics, everybody's just kind of, well, let the people decide. And the people of Georgia probably going to vote her back into power. So we'll continue to cover this, my friends. We hope the Court of Appeals does the right thing. We think that they will, but time will tell. Thank you for joining us as our coverage here continues. We're covering all the Trump litigation, the 2024 shenanigans, and more. We appreciate you hitting that subscribe button. Thank you for liking our video, and thanks for inviting someone you know or love to come over and join us when we go live, or just share this video with them so they can see what Trump is fighting in these courts in Georgia. We got a great segment coming up next. We're going to be talking about a gag order victory that Donald Trump has secured in New York just days before the debate. And so stick around, click over to that video. We'll see you there and back here on the next one. All right, my friends, but we're live here. So we're jumping right into it. We got one final segment of the day, and then we'll jump into your comments, and we'll go fast on the comments because it's good stuff to get to today. I'm excited about it. Okay, last segment on the day. Donald Trump wins a key victory in the gag order battle happening in New York, but it's not a total victory. They're still going to gag him a little bit because they don't want him talking about the judge's daughter, Mercan's daughter, who works for Joe Biden and has raised $93 million for Democrats. Can't have that happening. But the debate is right around the corner, and so Trump can speak about some other items. which we'll see what those look like. This is what the order from Mercan looks like. We got reaction from Turley. He's going to speak about this. But Trump also posted this on Truth today. After this order came down, he said the following: every time the radical left Democrats, Marxists, or communists and fascists indict me, consider it a great badge of honor. I'm being indicted for you. Never forget, our enemies want to take away my freedom because I will never let them take away your freedom. They want to silence me, which they're doing, because I will never let them silence you. In the end, they're not after me. They're after you. Says, I'm just standing in their way. From the very first day that we take back the White House from crooked Joe Biden, I believe we are going to have our greatest 4 years in the history of our country. And I think that's right. It's a weird thing to think about. We're in the middle of an election season, and our president is now gagged, or our candidate, former president, who is going to be nominated here in just a few short weeks, can't talk about some of the most important issues that we have in this country. Engoron has gagged him. Mercan has gagged him. Chutkin has gagged him. Jack Smith wants him gagged in the Florida case. And they're going to tell us and lecture us that we live in a free and fair country with free and fair elections when the president has 3 open gags about what he can talk about. And one of the things that's off limits is the judge's daughter who works for the Democrats and the judge himself who donated to Joe Biden. We can't talk about those things. Okay, so let's talk about what is allowed according to the judge in free and fair America in an election season that's absolutely not rigged. Here's the judge's order. He says, okay, look, on February 22nd, Alvin Bragg filed a motion to restrict Trump's statements. Trump opposed those statements, and the judge granted an order. This is the original gag. We've seen it. Then they wanted to clarify the gag. And this is where they came in and they added the judge's family members. Said, okay, also, you can't talk about Lauren Mercan, who's raised $93 million for Democrats. And if you go to Authentic Campaign's website, they show you that they work for Biden-Harris. On April 8th, Trump filed an order, another action to appeal all of this, and that appeal was denied. Jury selection happened. The Court of Appeals also considered this relief, whether the gag order is appropriate or not, and the New York Court of Appeals upheld the gag. On May 30th, Trump was convicted, 34 counts. We saw that. The jury was discharged. On June 4th, then, Trump asked for a letter terminating the gag order. Bragg said no. We want to keep the gag order in place. So here's the discussion. The main thrust of Trump's argument is that the orders gagging Trump were meant to protect the integrity of the trial proceedings, right? And if the trial is over, we don't need the orders anymore. Now, specifically, Trump notes that paragraph A of the orders prohibits statements concerning witnesses and potential participation in the investigation of or in this criminal proceeding. And since the trial is concluded, the purpose has been satisfied. Now, Trump also says the same reasoning applies to paragraph C. And finally, he makes numerous arguments in support of these other requests. However, this court doesn't need to address that because the Court of Appeals has already said there's no question there. Now, the people, Matthew Colangelo, as we read yesterday, does not oppose the termination of paragraph A. So, about Stormy Daniels and Michael Cohen. However, the people do oppose the terminations of B and C. Specifically, they say the proceedings have not concluded yet, and that the prosecution, court staff, and their families need to be saved. And so thus termination at this juncture would be premature. And similarly with the jurors, the people say the court should continue to protect the jurors as well. So here's what the judge has ruled. Now, the basis for this issuance is to protect the integrity of the judicial proceedings, which is a total joke because they have no integrity at all. As this court recognized, the, quote, threats to the integrity are no longer limited to the swaying of minds, but also on people to perform their lawful duty before this court. Now, both orders are narrowly tailored. They say the orders were overwhelmingly supported by the record, so this judge is patting himself on the back, but the circumstances have changed. So my orders were perfect, but now things are over. It says, first of all, the proceedings have ended when the verdict was rendered. The jury's been discharged. And so paragraph A is now terminated. So Trump can talk about witnesses now. Now, as to paragraph C, the jurors, while it would be this court's strong preference to extend those protections, the court cannot do so on what is now a different record than the prior thing. So paragraph C must also be terminated. Nonetheless, there's ample evidence to justify continued concern for jurors. Therefore, the protections set forth regulating the disclosure of juror information will remain in effect. So Trump can now talk about the jurors, but not the information of the jurors. Now, about paragraph B, which is about the judge's daughter, the court notes that while witness testimony has concluded, the proceedings are not concluded. Now, this matter is set down for sentencing on July 11th, and until sentence is imposed, my daughter, you cannot talk about my daughter, says the judge. So therefore, it is hereby ordered that the gag is still in effect as it relates to my daughter, but you can talk about the witnesses and the jurors, but not disclose their names. Signed by Judge Juan Mercan, who is covering up for his Democrat family. The judge has donated to Biden $35 twice, spite donations, and his daughter works for Democrats. So that has now happened. Here is what Jonathan Turley has said about all of this. Of course, in the middle of an election, we'd like to be able to hear from our president about what he's facing and what he's going through so that it can inform our opinion and inform our vote. So here's Turley, you know who he is, reacting to this on Fox.
The criminal justice system. And so he's gotten a bit of a half loaf here. But the question is, why is Merchan still operating this throttle control over what a presidential candidate can say or not say?
The limitations are on individual prosecutors, court staff, and their family members. Right. And he's saying that's essentially until the sentencing on July 11th. But that still doesn't make sense to you. Well,
in terms of the prosecutors, that was a big ticket item for former President Trump, is his ability to talk about how this prosecution team came together. In terms of the family members, that obviously was an issue early on. But the real question here is why isn't the normal conditions appropriate here? He was convicted. People are protected by defamation laws. They're protected by a variety of different things. Why is it necessary for this one judge in Manhattan to continue to hang this Damocles sword over his head and say, look, if I hear a thing that I'm concerned with, I'm going to pull you back in here and you could be in violation of this order.
Election.
And so it still is this disconnect as to why we're even talking about a gag order at this stage. It's clear the case is still before him. Okay, the sentencing hasn't occurred. I get that. But to not acknowledge that this is a presidential campaign, and this is one of the big issues in that presidential campaign, I think is really nonsense. That the judge could have gone further than he did. I think it's good that he lifted it in part. I think that he recognizes that. I don't know why he didn't do that right after the verdict came in.
We do, because it's an election season, and he wants to control Trump's mouth, and he doesn't want Trump talking about his daughter who works for the Democrats, and that this whole thing is rigged. So that's clearly the reason. And I think Jonathan Turley knows that, obviously, but he's being nice about it. So we've got Trump now able to talk about new things on the debate. He can talk about Michael Cohen. He can talk about Stormy Daniels, and he can talk about a bunch of other things. But the question is, will he? Will it come up? Will it matter at all? We're going to be covering the debate live from Trump Hotel in Las Vegas, and we hope you join us as we do. Every single pixel streamed from our hotel Trump room is going to be broadcast through the best hotel Wi-Fi servers in the planet, the Trump Hotel. And the pixels that arrive on your screen are going to be the most beautiful you've ever seen all year long. So come and join us on Thursday. Thank you for subscribing wherever it is you're watching this. We can't wait to see what happens at this debate, and what Trump is allowed to talk about remains to be seen. So we'll be here covering it, my friends. Thank you for joining us as we do. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking this video. Thank you for inviting a friend or family member to come over to our channel and join us as we are here covering it. And we'll look forward to seeing you back here and on this video on the next one. All right, my friends. We covered 3 good grounds today, 3 good segments. We got Trump now able to talk about stuff. Gag order partially lifted. Fani blasted. by Steve Sadow for being a corrupt, stinky odor of mendacity. And the FBI now admits that they did rig and manipulate the photos. And shout out to our friend Julie Kelly on that one. But now, my friends, it's time to hear what you have to say about all of this. We have watchingthewatchers.locals.com, which is where we're going to head over for our members only after party. And we got some good time here, actually. We're doing better on time than I thought. And it's a beautiful, you know what day it is, my friends. Taco Tuesday, baby. Good to see everybody. What's up? CGI Joe is bringing in 5 new membos. Great to see you, CGI Joe. Thanks for bringing in new membos. What's up, Piper Lynn? We got Deborah Y. We got No Mandates is here. And the Fed is in the house. And we also have Gordon B. and Rob Jones joining us, courtesy of CGI Joe, bringing in new membos. Knox Bierman, defense attorney in Texas, says, Happy Tuesday, all. This was the scene in the 232nd today. One of 2 Venezuelan nationals charged with R and the M, wow, of a 12-year-old. Great. 3 rows of angry, grieving families, 9 bailiffs instead of 2. 3 prosecutors, 1 court-appointed defense attorney just doing his job on the left. Jack Smith knows nothing. Wild. Yeah, that's a terrible scene. So here's the scene. Brutal. Wow. An illegal Venezuelan. Was it illegal? I don't even know if he was illegal. 12-year-old. R and murder of a 12-year-old. Nice. Well, welcome to America. CGI Joe, and rest in peace to that girl, and peace to her family. Good gosh. CGI Joe, Mike Sue coming in. What's up, Chris C's? Welcome aboard. We got Cheryl P, Giovanni A, and we got Shinny Win in the house coming in courtesy of CGI Joe. Thank you, CGI Joe. Sheila P bringing in new membos. Welcome aboard, Annie in your house. Taffy Smith, we got Barb W. The conservative life is here. Ditch W, Philip H, Jittery Hobo, Valerie H, Marry Me, and Timmy W. Gifted membos, courtesy of Sheila P. Thank you, Sheila, for bringing in 10 new membos and for being an amazing membo. We got this one from MJ Powell. Can you see that light coming in on my face? Oh my goodness. All right, give me 1 second. Let me go close that. There's like a car or something. It's like refracting off my brain. Look at this thing. Look at that. It's like blinding me. 1 second. I'll be right back. All right, the sun's coming down, and it just gets a little bit wonktified on the face. All right, there you go. I have like spots. Okay. Quick and easy, 2 months. Hey, nice to be here. Hello to all the new membos. MJ Powell in the house. 2 months as a membo. First month's the hardest. It's a little weird. It gets easier from there. Thanks for being here, MJ. Hey, DeBronx is in the house. Says, did Jack show the phony photos to the DC grand jury? How does that taint the grand jury process? Yeah, it's a good question. I don't know what they presented to the grand jury, but yeah, I've got a lot of questions about that now. So, and the grand jury and the indictment. So the raid was on August 8th. I'm trying to think about the sequence and the timeline, but yeah, they're fraudulent photos as far as we can tell. Either which way, thank you to Bronx for sending that one in. Chubby's here. Clearly someone in New York was watching the live stream yesterday, found my argument about the gag orders very compelling. I'm eagerly awaiting Trump's public recognition and show of gratitude for my indispensable help. We got this one from B-Man. FBI scrubbed Arizona election workers' social media after he was busted taking the security fob and the keys at the Maricopa Tabulation Center. Amazing. We covered that this morning on our Membos stream. Yeah, very curious. NY says, I just have to send a notarized form to Rob to Google. Just have to send a notarized form, Rob to Google, for the licensed professional designation in YouTube. Should I pull the trigger? Yeah. I mean, if you're going to start a YouTube channel, I don't know anything about that. But that sounds very interesting, NY. If you're hopping on YouTube, I encourage it. Hey, what's up? Bonnie says from Newsweek, somewhere I read last year that there are 9 bird flu vaccines approved for human use in the world. Sounds about right. And I wonder how many of them Rachel Maddow has taken. Bonnie says, can they prove with fingerprints Trump even knew he had them? Did he even touch them? Which ones? If I was on the jury, I'd want to know apart from the issue if he was allowed to have them. Yeah, well, that's what we're going to see, right? We read today that apparently they have somebody who's going to testify that Trump had personal knowledge of every document that went in every box. Really? How'd that happen? There's like 30 boxes, 60 boxes. He packed every one of those. Give me a break. Tony Hay Munkets in the house. What's up? Bringing in 5 new membos. Thank you, Tony. Father M's coming in. Joshua G in the house. The Effect is here. Deb S and Philippa C gifted membos courtesy of Tony Hay Munkets. What about me? Been a membo for 15 months. Woo! 26 years married today and the wife's birthday. Joe, I love you, baby. I added the baby part. I don't know if you call her that or not, but probably. Membo for 15 months. Happy anniversary, you guys. 26 years married and wife's birthday today. We got another anniversary coming up too. I got an email from somebody I know, we know here. Yeah, also has an anniversary coming up. Maybe we'll see them in Vegas. What's up, Membo for 15 months? Amazing, Gloria B. 15 months. What about me and Gloria B? Robert, you do a fabulous job. Thank you. Thank you, Gloria B. Thanks for saying that. We try to deliver here. We have a lot of fun. Grateful to spend the time together with you. And thanks for supporting us as a Membo. ELF, what's up, ELF? Bringing in 10 new Membos. Wheezy Bob, Red Blooded, BJ Marshall, Grimley's here, Bill L, Ulsterman, Mia A, Mars Soul, Mark W, Salty Old Guy, and others coming in courtesy of ELF in the house. Thank you, ELF. Knox says, and in world news, the website ridiculed Macron and Paris Mayor Anne Hidalgo, who pledged to swim the Seine to demonstrate its cleanliness thing. They've thrown us into the crap. Now it's their turn to be in our crap. Parisians plan a poop protest over the Seine pollution problems. They're going to crap in the river there in France? Parisians plan a poop protest over the Seine's pollution problem. Is that how you say that, the Seine? What, are they going to poop in the river? All right. Hey, what's up? Unwoke Thoughts says, Membo for 1 month. Thoughts on CNN copywriting the debate? Well, we're going to see how that happens. And I want to shout out Tim Pool for taking a stand on this, by the way. I heard about this from Tim Pool, and I heard that he's going to be streaming it anyways, which is great news, because we're going to do the same thing. And if they nuke us on YouTube, which they might, then we'll be on Rumble, we'll be on X, we'll be on Locals. So we have some backups built out, and we're streaming it. I think CNN is just being CNN. And I got a lot of questions about what's going to happen at this debate. I think it'd be nice to have a clock in the background so that we could make sure it's one straight shot the whole time. Like when they cut back to commercial, that clock should have changed 5 minutes, whatever the commercial length is, not 7 minutes. You know what I'm saying? Anyways, we'll see. Hey, Voice of the People says this cover sheet thing is a huge deal. It shows that the enforcement arm of the DOJ has been weaponized when you put it next to Biden, saying, let's not forget the FBI padlocked that bathroom door too. This is treason. Yeah, it's egregious what they've done. They've manipulated. First of all, I don't even think these are criminal charges. They made them up. They didn't charge Joe. They didn't charge anyone else. They make up this obstruction angle to give them justification to charge Trump, not the other people. They didn't charge Hillary, nothing. She destroyed evidence. It's insane. Then what evidence they did find, which I have doubts about, if it's actually classified, probably, they could classify basically anything. So I just doubt it's a national security secret or anything consequential. So they juiced it up. They put some steroids on it with some cover sheets that make it seem much worse than it is. Glocky says, just for the record, one of my persons coming through customs on the way home almost got arrested because his target folder was on knee board, sprung open in a line, exposing classified info, talking about a sniper. Even though he's talking about checks and balances on classified documents from Glocky. Also shared this one. So who's going to get indicted for this? Says a top secret drone weapon, was discovered on Google Maps. Uh-oh. Chubby says, weren't those cluttered boxes shipped to Mar-a-Lago by the White House? Wouldn't that essentially negate their claim that he personally took the stuff and that he purposely stored them neglectfully? Yeah, I want to know. Like they say Trump had knowledge and he was behind all of this. So, okay, prove that. Let me see how that happened. Felix says, it is all to make a one-party government, and right now all this lawfare is to condition the population to get ready for the new normal. This was preconditioned with the vid. Yeah, I think in many ways we're kind of there. We kind of have a one-party government in many ways, not on every issue, but on many issues. Trump, I think, is going to wreck that again, and they're really petrified that that's going to happen. Lady Ice, hello, watchers. I've been busy with the New York primary all day, working as a poll inspector, long day. Been here since 5:15. We work until 9:30. Man, we love our poll inspectors out there. Need a lot of them this year. We got this one from Michelle P. Says, as a Marine wife for 23 years, we moved often. After each move, I had no idea what was in each box until I opened them up again to unpack. 100%. Yeah. And then sometimes you'll have a box that sits there for like 4 years. Voice of the people. Forgot about the plain clothes part. Yeah, that sounds like they're trying to force bodyguards to go pew-pew. I'd go to prison if I did that. Yeah. Jennifer agreed. Yeah, they would have been very happy if something happened. Glocky says, I guarantee you they planted listening devices in Trump's residence. Guaranteed. We got this one from Bat Lady. Thanks, Jennifer, for flagging this. Says, why were they ever in Melania and Barron's rooms at all? Because it's a humiliation ritual is what they did. So they're just humiliating him because that's all this is about. Wheezy Bob, what's up? 7 months as a membo. Thanks, Rob, mods in chat. You are family. I feel it, Wheezy Bob. I feel you on that. 7 months as a membo, 2 months till a baby. And it's great to see you. Thanks for that, Wheezy Bob. 7 months as a membo. Homie Brooke on Rumble says, what the heck is up with YouTube? I could do Snapchat or become a subscriber on this. Yeah, you could definitely become a membo on the Rumbles. We'd love to see you join us as a membo. Good to see you, homie. Waldo, what's up? Bringing in 5 new membos. Thank you for bringing them in. Main Myth in the house. We got Jonah D, N Doug, Elizabeth C, and Lynchpin in the house, brought on as new membos, courtesy of Waldo. This old guy over on Local says, it's been my experience that whenever a business process functions at a high level of professionalism, the leadership of that business process exhibits extremely high levels of professionalism. It takes years to develop, but the leadership can destroy those years of professional development in mere months of leadership accepting lackluster performance. Leadership in the 3-letter agencies is at an all-time low. It's like a slow evaporation of competency. And it does. It's a lot harder to build something than it is to destroy something. Building a couple centuries of not prosecuting your political opponents was very hard work, very hard. And the Democrats just wrecked it. Crazy. Cowboy Rob, who exactly in a case like this could possibly be handling the evidence that is classified? I would assume everybody involved in this case would be vetted. You would assume, yeah, I don't know. And that's a great question. Who, like in the White House, is shoving documents in boxes? Like, is it all classified? And if it's so, like if it's so easy to get stuff classified, should it be classified in the first place? If you're just throwing it in boxes and stuff. What's up, White Buffalo? During the debate, if Joe Biden freezes, Donald Trump should call for AED. Should call for like medics to come. Homie B, what's up, Homie Brooke? If Trump wins, will Blinken be legally responsible for election interference in 2020 for getting 51 liars on a letter about the laptop from hell? Absolutely. That's a RICO conspiracy all day long. Goofy for Jesus. Wasn't it dark outside during the Mar-a-Lago search? That's not 10 a.m. Or did it go on till evening? Great show, Rob. It definitely went on till there were photographs in the dark. There were. Those might have been night photos. But it was August, so was the sun up? Probably August 10 a.m. in Florida? Yeah. So probably late night photos. But you're right, there were dark photos. Good to see you, Goofy. This one from Paul M. According to the Clinton sock drawer ruling, Trump, by virtue of him placing a classified document in a box to take with him, declassified it. You're exactly right. Yeah, Judicial Watch versus NARA. They said Clinton has total discretion because he's the president to declare what's classified or what's not, or what's presidential and what's personal. And they let him take everything. Trump, though, is different. Cowboy Rob says, you'd think at the time she was taking all these vacations, should have been working on her case and not taking vacation since this is, a high profile case, kind of a big deal. This one from Don Goff, member for 4 months, says, Wade was punished for the laws that Fani broke. Yeah, Fani was the superior. She should know better. Glocky says, breaking news, Judge Mercan has been removed from Bannon's case. And I saw this from Kyle Cheney from Politico. Says, no longer assigned to Judge Mercan. And this is, I think, on Bannon's upcoming criminal trial, which is about the border stuff. Glocky says, hey, Rob, is it good or bad that Bannon got a new judge? Anybody's better than Mercan, so I'd say a good thing. ELF, what's up? Bringing in 5 new membos. Laura C coming in. Jesusa G. We got Cody L, backseat driver, and Jay Jarvis all in the house, courtesy of ELF. We had this one from Andre, says Willis thrust into Wade. There was a lot of thrusting going on into the public and each other. Glocky, what's up? It's so insane that the same people elected or appointed to uphold or prosecute the law just routinely break it. Nothing happens to them. They screech that Trump isn't above the law, but then they full scream about prosecutorial immunity or hide behind the gavel and the robe. The system needs a serious course correction. We got Sheila P bringing in new membos. HPK's coming in. What's up, Warren H? Sean A, Ray W, Pink Husky, is coming in. Craig B, Peter Uri, Jackie K, and Kevin Murphy. Gifted membos courtesy of Sheila P. Bunch of memos today, Sheila. Thanks for bringing them in. We got this one. Glocky says, I wish Rob and the Watchers crew going to Vegas safe travels. Remember to drink water and have fun. We're going to be ultra safe and ultra awesome. What's up, Crash? Pyrrhic victory means nothing. That is no victory at all from Crash. Cowboy Rob says, isn't Marshawn's decision backwards? Good question. Brad Ford in the house. What's up, Brad? Thanks for becoming a new supporter. And Warrior says, Rob, pretty please, can we do a live chat or vid call during the debate Thursday night? Can you all set up a live chat or vid call from all of you with all of those of us who couldn't go? I know I will miss you all and hope you all have the best time. From Warrior Heart. So we're going to live stream the debate. Yeah, we're going to have a full open live stream for all on Thursday. So wherever you're watching us, we're not going to do a regular show. We're just going to do a live stream. So just mark your calendars. We'll be there. What's up? Iconic Meerkat says, don't forget to hit that like button. Thanks for that. Knox says, AEDs are defibrillators. Trump could save Biden's life. That's what it is. An AED is a defibrillator. So clear. That would be a good look for Trump. He's like, man, I don't like Joe Biden, but I'm going to save his life if I have to. Clear. Poof. Warrior Heart. I wish I could invite you all to the housewarming once we get all the furniture in. I'm smudging everything. Going to hold a house blessing and smudging the whole house in line with my Native American ancestry. Thank you for all putting up with me through this major mess. Well, we're happy to go through it with you, Warrior Heart. We know how difficult a messy house can be. It's very stressful. So hopefully you get it taken care of. Thanks for letting us know what's happening. Cowboy Rob says, I hope the Supreme Court realizes not giving Trump immunity calls into question every prosecutor, judge, and politician's immunity that they hold so dearly. Yeah, I think that there will be presidential immunity. We'll see if that drops tomorrow. What's up, Warrior Heart says, yay, in the house. And it's great to see you. We're going to shout out our ex-friends very quickly before we go on over to Locals for a very short after party to hang out and debrief. Let's see. We got some donos, some comments on X. Here's one. The FBI, that face when you mess with Rob's PDF from Paul Mino. This is what the FBI were doing today. This is what FBI laughing at us as our PDFs were failing. What's up, Fred? Good to see you, Truth Ninja. We got Pix over there. Polly's in the house. We got Reality Bite says, I hope you're funny today. I hope I was too. I don't know. I don't know if I was funny or not, man. I hope you're funny today. I hope so too. Hopefully we landed it. What's up? Good to see everybody. We got some other comments. Helen, Silicon Valley Reject. Great to see everybody. But my friends, we are going to wrap it up over there. And we are going to hang out. Knox says, thank you for choosing to live stream the debates, Robert. It wouldn't be the same without my fellow watchers. No, we'll definitely do it. It's a big one. And so we're going to go over to Locals. We're going to hang out for just a few minutes. It's a Tuesday, so we got to wrap it up here. But watchingthewatchers.locals.com is our members only community. As a reminder, tomorrow we will be live early, 9 a.m. Pacific, noon East Coast, and we're going to talk about whatever the Supreme Court drops in the morning. So we'll go through that. And it'll be fun. So thanks for subscribing. We are then this weekend going over to Las Vegas, Trump Hotel, Las Vegas. Grab your tickets. Final call on these, watcherlodge.com. Sign up, fill out your profiles because we're going to get the name tags printed. So make sure your profiles are filled out with your names, your location, all that stuff. And we'll look forward to seeing you there. Grab your tickets. It's going to be amazing. All right. And so that, my friends, is it for us on the day. I want to thank you for joining us. Before we wrap it up, we want to say thank you to our mods and our amazing meme smiths who mod the fort down for us and keep things oh so nice and orderly. K Bean in the house, Just Cause. We got Playing Hooky, Ronnie Cole, our friend Zach Nichols, Janek, Dog Digger, Economy Pilot, Donut Mind Me, clipping hard for us today. Thank you, Donut. Carrie B, our friend Zulu, our meme smiths we know as Sleepy Dog Lee. We saw him on X. Nathan, Geegum Geegum, Glocky McGlock, and Elliot, our Doc Master. But that, my friends, is it for us on the day. Heading over to watchingthewatchers.locals.com, and when we're on the road to Vegas, we'll have a bunch of additional posts and updates from the drive and from Trump Hotel and all the things. And so we can't wait to share that with everybody. But my friends, we'll head on over there, watchingthewatchers.locals.com. I hope to see you there. But if not, well, we're going to be back here tomorrow. It's going to be a little bit earlier than usual, and we're going to have business to attend to. And in order to do that, we're going to need to see you right back here so that together, with your help, we can shine that big, beautiful spotlight of accountability and transparency down upon our system with the hope of finding justice. Make it a beautiful night, my friends. Sleep very well. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Bye-bye.